Everybody ready? Get going here. So 5. City of Salem, the City Council Committee on Ordinance, License, Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, met in the council chambers on Thursday, June 4th, 2015, at 6:06. For the purpose of discussing said matters listed below, notice of this meeting was posted on May 28th, 2015, at 6:03. This meeting is being recorded. In attendance are all members of the committee and all councilors except for Councilor Sargent, who I believe will show up later. All matters co-posted. There's and I'm just going to read the ordinance number 348, 353, 349, 350, 351, and 352. And I'd say before we start, if anyone has any, we want to take these in order. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to take out of order the order relative to parking so that we can get Chief of Police and our Lieutenant out of here first, and then we'll take a few other things out of order before we deal with the trash.
Okay, that's number 352 we'll try to take first. Is that okay with everyone? Second? Okay. So if we go to number 352 in the package, this came in as a late file, and it's an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to parking meters. Parking meters, let's see, they wanted to delete parking meter locations for Congress Street within this section in their entirety and replace them with, looks like zones established. It says 3 different zones. One east side from intersection of Derby Street and extended to Wood Street, 4-hour limits. West side, beginning at the intersection of Derby Street and Congress Street and extended to Wood Street, 4-hour limits. West side, beginning at Wood Street intersection and running to the intersection of Harbor Street, 4-hour limits. I'm going to open this up to any members of the committee. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This came in as a late file. To be honest with you, this is when it came in as a late file, it was the first I saw of it. I'm not opposed to some of the ideas, but I will say that there's a lot going on Congress Street. Right now, this doesn't even address the fact that there's bus parking on Congress Street, which would be, I don't know which side of Congress Street going out, going towards the point, so that would be on the, I'm assuming the east intersection. So there's some tour bus zones in there. I'm not opposed to taking out some of the meters because, to be honest with you, it's 25 cents to park in the garage. I think we should be having a conversation, though it's not in front of us, we should be having a conversation about raising the fee in the garage. I mean, 25 cents an hour barely covers the guy at the gate collecting the money, and it's no reason that people aren't parking at the meters because you can go in the garage for 25 cents. So, I mean, how much are you going to charge at a meter? I get the idea, but to be honest with it, I just talking to Lieutenant Brzezinski, we haven't even had a chance to kind of vet this out, because when you talk about a 4-hour limit as well, the issue I have with that is right now the Congress Street Bridge, you're seeing a lot of parking on when we tried the zones, I think it was the green zone or the purple zone or wherever it was when we implemented the comprehensive parking plan, no one bought a pass for the zone, so the bridge was empty, and then we just opened it up for parking. It's unrestricted right now, and what you're seeing in the unrestricted spots on the bridge are people from Shetland who don't want to walk over to the garage, so it's easy for them because they're in the first building to park right there, and you're seeing employees from the various businesses on Pickering Wharf that are getting there early, that are filling up the bridge parking because they either don't want to go in the garage or whatever, and 4 hours might help get some movement, but I'm not really sure if that's what we want. I mean, I haven't even chance to talk to any of the businesses down there. So I don't know what Lieutenant Brzezinski has for thoughts on this, but those are my thoughts on it.
Councilor Legault?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I actually kind of like this. It's basically a commercial zone down there. I'm not sure we have any meters on the bridge itself. I know there's bus spots there. And if the people from Shetland are parking there, they shouldn't be. There's lots of parking on that Shetland property, whether it be their surface parking or the garage parking. And if they're the majority of the people parking there, they shouldn't be there. That should be for the people that are down there to go to, down on Congress Street, to go to the sandwich shop, to go to the barber shop, to go to the chiropractor, or the dental and medical clinic there, or maybe even go to Pickering Wharf since there's limited parking there. I think zones are a good idea. I don't think that these would affect the bus zones again, because I believe they're on the bridge where there are no meters. However, I think it would be a good idea maybe to give Lieutenant Pazuski a chance to come up here and give us his thoughts on this if there's no objection from the committee.
Any objection? I don't think there's an objection, but before I do that, Councilor Epley has a hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not being a member of the committee, I don't have any position on this particular request, but I have a problem with the procedure. This was a late file. I wasn't present last week for the meeting, but I do know that this was a late file. I'm just informed now that the Ward 1 councilor was not aware of this coming in, and I also spoke with Lieutenant Pazuski prior to this meeting, and Lieutenant Pazuski hasn't even seen this ordinance. And under our ordinance for traffic, anything that comes before this council needs to be pre-approved by the traffic department before it comes before us. So I'm troubled that we're having this meeting. That's my, this is too preliminary. This should have, if it should have been filed on a timely basis. It should have been done with a pre-approval. This is not the way to do things.
No, I agree 100% with you.
Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, Councilor O'Keefe. I agree with you 100%, but as procedurally, a late file comes into committee. So that's where it landed, that's where we are here. With that said, I think Councilor O'Keefe.
Through your question, through your Councilor McCarthy, are going to be meters put in here?
No.
We're gonna control the 4 hours.
According to this, I'm just sitting here thinking about it, there's probably only, if I can think off the top of my head, probably 3 or 4 meters down near the bank.
I'm thinking by the bank.
Yeah, which is fine, but the bank has been ever since we implemented the comprehensive parking plan, the bank wanted those spots to go to 15-minute spots so their bank patrons could slide in and out. And now you're gonna, so now it's a question of, because we have further down on the bridge, there's a 15-minute zone for drop-off of people going to load their boats. So there's one spot down there. So, I'm not adverse to some of these ideas. It's just that this is the first, other than getting them late file last Thursday, this is the first we're talking about them. I didn't think we'd be talking, I didn't know Lieutenant Pazuski was coming in tonight, or I would have had a conversation with him prior. So I apologize for that, but, I'm not adverse to some of these ideas. I just think they need to be vetted out before we just take them on.
Councilor McCarthy, before our Lieutenant Pazuski gets up.
Your question.
You still have.
Where did it come from? Did it drop out of the sky, this request?
Came in as a late file from the administration.
From the mayor?
Yep.
And you knew nothing about it?
Because they want to take out parking meters, a few parking meters.
So you, Mr. Chairman, you
still
knew
have
nothing
the floor.
about this as a ward councilor?
The first I saw of it was it came in as a late file on
Thank
Thursday.
You all set, Councilor?
No, I'm not happy with that, no.
If I could just add to this, I agree with everything said. I also think this should probably stay in committee, and we should probably vet it out a little more, speaking with Lieutenant Pazuski. I can't make a motion, but I'd also think we should go down and see what businesses this is going to affect. I also believe, I hate when it comes in saying east side from intersection here to west side. That's what got us in all the trouble on the parking plan for downtown, because nobody realized it went all the way past Dunkin' Donuts. Everyone thought the original parking plan was from Dunkin' Donuts up Washington Street, and it said this east side, west side type stuff. So if I could have a motion, I don't know if we need to invite Lieutenant Pazuski up or Chief Butler up to speak. I believe if there's a will of the body.
Being a member of the committee, the chief is here and Lieutenant Pazuski is here. In deference, we should at least let them have something to say about it to the committee, if they wish to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is the first we're really hearing about it. We don't know all the particulars, and I agree with, what people have said at this point. I think that, it's not necessarily that it's a bad plan, but we really should get it more specifically about what the impact is, in the area, to the businesses, to the bus locations that are there as well. So I'll let Bob speak more to that, because he's more on top of what's going on down there. So.
Councilor McCarthy and I should probably walk that together so that he can decide whether or not to eliminate bus stops. I know those are on the bridge. I know there's some service zones on the bridge. If it's just metered every 20 feet without taking into account moving any of those things to another location or leaving them where they are, I'm not opposed to the meters. I'm sure that it's a well thought out idea, but I just don't want to all of a sudden have some things go missing that I know other people are interested in. For instance, I know that tourism office is interested in some bus stops for Congress Street because they're gonna lose some on Hawthorne Boulevard or up by the Common because of construction through the tourist season. So it's a well, it's not a bad idea. But just before meters actually go in, if the council wants them to go in, we should just make sure we're gonna leave some things where they are or move those things to other places.
Mr.
Does
Chairman,
anyone have a question?
I move this matter remain in committee.
Do I have a second?
3352, remain in committee for further study. Thank you, ma'am, for coming, and Lieutenant.
Lieutenant, I'll give you a buzz.
Okay, council.
Thank you.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Mr. Chair.
Councilor Calhoun?
Mr. Chair, I move that we take out of order Council Order number 351.
Actually, before we do that, I didn't offer it up to the floor. Is anyone here that wanted to talk about that in the audience? We should probably,
Congress Street Bridge.
Congress Street Bridge. I'm looking around, I don't see anyone here that.
No, I didn't see anybody.
So I still haven't made that. So being none, you want to take number 351?
Please.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Number 351 is, hereby amend by deleting the section entirely. City of Salem, fee for slip, $6 per foot per vessel. Deleting the sections, placing it. So this is the
Harbor Master.
slips for the harbor.
Yes.
Okay, I'll open the floor up to any member of the committee. Councilor McCarthy?
I'd personally like to hear what the harbor master and the finance, I mean, I don't even know, I don't own a boat, so I couldn't tell you what the slip fee is right now, what we're changing it from to, and what type of, revenue this will generate. So if we could open up the floor to Captain McHugh or to Sarah Stan, the finance director.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Captain McHugh, would you mind,
Good evening. In the city ordinance as it is right now, section 1024, they treat, actually it says, as used in this section, the words moor or anchor shall also include vessels tied to slips in city waters. So it is either you're alongside a slip or on a single point mooring, it's deemed a moored vessel in the waters of Salem, and therefore there's a fee that goes along with that. Right now, as it stands, it's $6 to have your boat per linear foot to have your boat out on a single point mooring, or it's $3 per linear foot to have it alongside a slip. Beverly is a good example. Their slip and mooring fees are exactly the same. They're $5.50 a foot, I believe, right now. We're $6 a foot per mooring. The slips don't require any less service from my department. You still have these slips leaving their moored position just as the boat would leave its mooring, and they still require the same type of services from the Harbor Master Department. I think it's, I'd have to speculate on why it was, there was a differentiation between the two rates. I can guess, but I'm not willing to do that unless somebody asks me to. I think it's appropriate and it's in line with what other harbors do.
Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to Captain McHugh. So, I mean, it's typical in other coastal communities that have a mooring field and slips that the rates are the same.
Yes.
So this is just bringing everything in line so everything's even
Yes, sir.
for everybody.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor O'Keefe?
through you, Mr. President, how many, Harbor Master, how many slips are there involved?
About 400 slips.
How many?
About 400.
400.
And that's on the high side. Marinas are allowed to reconfigure their arrangements depending on, we don't always know what size of vessels are going in there. So, you have between 350 and 400 slips. That's Palmer Cove, that's Hawthorne Cove, that's Pickering Wharf Marina.
Thank you, thank you.
Any other questions, Counselor?
I'll comment on it from the, I discussed this briefly with Captain McHugh before this, because this would be starting with next year's slip, because all the registration paperwork's gone out for this year already. And I just, using myself as an example, I'm in a slip right now, so I'm at the 3-foot rate, so I get the City of Salem sticker, which for my boat cost me $75, so it'll go up to pay the $150 that I'd be paying if I was out on a mooring. So, not really a big deal.
Any questions, Counselor?
Just not being a member of the committee, through you, Mr. Chairman, this is more of a question, I think, I don't know if it's the harbor master or the body, but given what the good Ward 5 counselor had mentioned, does that mean that we need to have an effective date for this change in the ordinance to take place? So rather than effective immediately, effective January 1, 2016?
That would certainly work.
To Counselor Epley, without having the whole chapter in front of me, I can't, we'll have to look into that, because by just taking out one line, don't know if something else may be in there.
Mr. Chairman, I was just adding a line of just like that this change would not take effect until January 1 of 2016.
Do I have a second on that?
He's not a member. I'll put that motion on the floor.
Second.
Second that?
I'd further move to approve.
Insert, can you give me the language real quick?
Insert, effective January 1, 2016.
the
Does that give you time? When do you put your bills out? If I may, Mr. Chair, through you.
I was going to say, as a point of order, the bills go out the first week in March. So we start preparing them usually, the end of January. So that would work fine.
So if you amended section 2 to say this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter as of January 1st, 2016?
Got it?
Does that work?
That works.
Does that work?
City charter says after second passage, so this ordinance shall take effect as of January 1st, 2016.
Okay.
That's what I have.
Okay.
I have just effective January 1st, 2016.
Okay.
Okay, so I had a motion by Counselor McCarthy, second by Counselor Legault. All those in favor? All those opposed? Passes. And again, I apologize. Is anyone on the floor want to talk about this?
No,
I know
no.
what you guys are. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Counselor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Further move that we take out of order, before we get into the trash contract, I think we should take out of order the fees for water, which is $349, $350.
Do I have a second?
I believe 348 is kind of tied to the trash contract.
Yeah, 348 is trash.
And just to let the record reflect, Council President Sargent has joined us. So we are now on number 349 and 350.
Yep.
Let's start with number 349. Councilor McCarthy.
I further move that since Mr. Knowlton, our city engineer, is here, as well as the finance director, they could explain to us why there is a need to amend the residential per cubic foot cost for water and conversely sewer, and where we are at now and what the effective change is going to be.
Do I have a second to allow Councilor Legault? Ms. Knowlton or Sarah, somebody want to address us?
Councilors, so we are proposing collectively a 1% increase in water and a 1% increase in sewer. This is keeping in line with our 5-year projection of reducing it. I think we started at 4% about 4 years ago and we slowly reduced since then. The city made the decision, I think it was 3 years ago, to combine water sewer enterprise funds as allowed for DOR. So this has given a little bit more flexibility, especially considering the substantial water loss related to the temporary closure of the power plant. So for the average homeowner, I should have got my glasses up. the increase is minimal. So you can see in your section 7 of your budgets, if you're looking along, I carry mine with me everywhere this morning. So it's a small increase related for each homeowner. The breakdown's included. We still remain one of the lowest communities for water sewer rates. I think the only one beating us is Peabody. It's the damn North Shore Mall kicking us every time. But otherwise, we still remain one of the lower communities, and Dave and I are both happy to answer questions if you have any.
Actually, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
When you take into account the water and sewer, and you said the loss of the power plant, do you also take into account the loss that we're going to receive from the hospital? Because with the new power plant, they recycle their water.
Yep. Yeah, so we include that as part of our projections. We look pretty conservatively at what we have coming in for revenues, where our largest users are, where our largest usership is, and that comes into play. And 1% still puts us in a solid position for next year, even with that water loss.
And how is this going to change? I know we do a 3-year projection,
Yep.
and we're locked in for 3 years. So this will be year 1 without the power plant.
Sure.
You know, going forward, we're looking at another 1% next year, 2%.
Yeah,
Because we've gone up, you know, a bunch in the last 3 or 4 years.
So over the past 5 years, I believe this is our lowest increase, so that's positive. For next year, our projections are going up 2 and 3%. We might not actually go up 2 and 3%, but it helps us sort of plan for it. I think we still have another 2.5 years in our look back with the Salem Beverly Water Supply Board, because they do go back 3 years. So hopefully in 2 years, we'll see the reduction in our water usage reflected in our assessment. So we have 2 years, at least 2 years away for that to be truly reflected. Even still, I think we estimated that our assessment would only go down $95,000, which in the scheme of how large our assessment is not very substantial.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. So for anybody that doesn't understand, Dave or Sarah, could you, I mean, I know I've had conversations with both of you about it, but could you explain to anybody, either in this body or in the audience, as to when we say the power plant's offline, as to why we're trying to recapture some of those costs? Because, I mean, I understand it's because the way the Salem Beverly Water Board, and I know that the mayor had numerous conversations with Beverly about this, because all of a sudden, one of the largest users of water just stopped using water, but they don't take that. It's like Beverly kind of looks at us and says, oh, well, we understand that, but the way the rates are set, the split, you know, everyone's always said, why is, you know, 2 similar communities, similar size, why is it a 60-40 split or whatever it is? And it will work its way back, but the way it's set up is to try to protect each community from something drastic like this happening, and it did happen, unfortunately, on us.
Yeah.
So we're kind of stuck with
Yep.
holding the bag, so to speak, with the money on this one.
Yes, the Salem Beverly Water Supply Board can attest this is a 3-year look back. So the idea behind creating that 3-year look back is that you have a running average of water usage. So God forbid the power plant went offline or the common center, it wouldn't be an major impact on ratepayers, but it would also even out over the course of time. Last year we started conversations with the city of Beverly to have this conversation saying, hey, for Salem, this is 1 million cubic feet of water, $700,000 in water revenue loss. Is there anything we can do? Can we do a one-time legislative break? All due respect to the council from Beverly, they were less than agreeable to that idea. So we moved forward, which is fine. So we planned for it, we did the right thing, we upped the rates just slightly to account for that water loss, and we are hopeful that in the next cycle of 3 years, when we finally have come around to where the water loss is actually reflected in the assessment, we will have a reduction in our assessment as such.
We just didn't have that 3-year running average for the revenue side. So we took the hit on the revenue side, but the supply side cost should see an adjustment over the 3 years.
And when the Cummings Center goes offline, we're going to say no.
Okay, fair enough.
Do I have any other questions, Councilor?
Well, the power plant, say the power plant's down 3 years, so in the 4th year, we'll be able to realize that it'll be the 4th year, and we'll have it for 3 years, because that same average will work the other way, hopefully, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they're estimating that the usage is going to be a 70% reduction when the power plant does come back online. So in addition to the fact that we'll see the reduced rate from the time where it's completely offline, the plant is more efficient, the water use is more efficient, so there'll be a permanent reduction in how much water is being used by the plant overall.
And then on the sewer side, we're going to see an increase in revenue because they're going to be discharging more sewer to SASD through our system than they have before. The community plant had its own treatment plant, so they process their own water and discharge it. They're not going to do that in the community plant, so there'll be some revenue on the sewer side of the
Councilor Keith? Councilor Ashton, you all set?
Also,
Councilor Keith?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, question. There's a note, when we put the new electronic water meters in, I thought we were told that if we were going to analyze the water usage And if we saw at a typical single-family house that it exceeded the previous year's usage, that overage would be brought to the attention of the homeowner. Are we doing that? I'm misstating what we were told.
We have the ability to do that. We have certain alarms that we're.
Well, no, my question is, are we doing it?
You're doing it when it comes to our attention, yes. We have a lot
Well,
of data.
you bring it to your own attention, through you, Mr. Chairman. You're doing it. Your company, your registrar or someone down over there is doing it, right? So they would call someone and say, well, you've used 1,000 gallons of water last month and you shouldn't have.
Right.
So somebody would know they gotta call a plumber or something. You're doing that.
Yes, we get alarms. So if we see an abnormal use, a high usage, or continuous use, then we have the ability to contact those people and say, you've got a leak, or something's going different at your house.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you, to the finance director. From listening to what you've just said, and I just want to make sure that I understand this, is there a potential down the road when the power plant comes online that we may have the potential for some relief from some of these yearly increases?
Minimal.
If we, that's minimal, but
Decreases.
a relief, or maybe no raise, maybe it doesn't go up 1 year or 2 years, there's a potential for that. And also just to ask, if we were to close the doors and call the Beverly City Council President and tell him that we had Councilor Silva here, do you think that would do any good with your negotiations?
It has some weight,
Yeah.
but I don't know how well it would work out.
Thank you.
Good idea, though, thinking outside the box is good.
Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, being a member of the committee. So do you know, in the book, of what the average water and sewer rates are now and what the average rates? So it should be in the cover.
Yeah, the cameras have the committee docs.
No, I mean, no, not those, but like what is the average homeowner now pay for? I mean, if they're paying, this 1% increase, so.
Okay, so the average homeowner for water right now is paying $346.80 for water.
Okay.
They're paying $708 for sewer, of a combined $1,054. Some people are paying a lot more than that, as Councilman Reynolds just noted. Water for next year is $350.40, so a roughly $4 increase. Sewer is $715, a $7 increase, creating a combined annual average based off of 120 cubic feet of $1,065. So you're talking about a little bit over a $10 increase per based on the average usage. Some less for some owners, some more. Those that shower more often, maybe you're paying a little bit more, but it's about $10 for the average homeowner. And we do this comparison with the MWRA. They do everything on the 120 HCF, and so we base all of our comparisons to that, so we're going apples to apples.
The new meters now are much more accurate than the previous meters, so that people are experiencing, use more water, you're gonna have to pay for it, you get charged for it.
You also, Councilor?
Thank you.
Councilor O'Keefe?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Knowlton, how are we making out with the survey, the pedometer, I call it pedometer associates, or whatever, measuring the amount of water that we pump, measuring the amount of water that we go through the meters, and the difference? Where are we how much we pump, where is it all missing, if it is all metered?
That's called unaccounted for.
What percentage are we missing? That's my question.
We are down to about 15% right
We
now.
can't account for 50% of the water that starts over there and winds up in the ground over here.
Previously, it was around 25%, so.
How's the national average?
The new meters, well, you talk to DEP, the state manages.
Or MWRA, for example.
Yeah, the state issues our water management act permits to make, typically states how much water we can take out of the Ipswich River and actually use. They want to see that number less than 10 in that range, so we're getting closer to that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Legault?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Briefly, we actually spoke about this at your budget hearings the other night, but just to follow up with the Ward 7 councilor, this water loss, which we are getting better at. I think a lot of these water breaks that we've had has helped that we suddenly don't have as many valves leaking as we did. What kind of impact does that actually have on these rates? Is it significant? I mean, we talking, is it the difference between having a 1% raise 1 year and not having a 1% increase?
It could be. When you take unaccounted for water, that means we're not billing for it. And it becomes accounted for water, then we bill for it, that's revenue. So the revenue is gonna go up. As the unaccounted for water goes down, the revenue should go up.
So along the lines, with the power plant coming online and us getting that revenue from that water again, if you continue to do your job and we're decreasing this water loss, then that will also help in the next couple of years to get to a point where maybe we'll have that 1 year where we can say no increase.
So I would stress about, being cautious about saying no increase because we do heavily invest in water sewer infrastructure. So this year we're looking at bonding or funding in different capacity, whether it be through retained earnings, SCSD, or funding, $12 million in capital repairs. With $12 million comes $12 million worth of debt payments. The way that the city remains fiscally prudent and the enterprise fund remains healthy is keeping that in mind. So if we continue to fund infrastructure, which is needed, what does the mayor say, the benefits of a historic city, then you will have debt payments associated to that, and that's sustained through the enterprise fund, which is sustained through the
I would just like to stress that we would like everybody responsible to continue to do everything that they can within their power to work toward having a year, if possible, if practicable, where we don't have an increase. That's my dream. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One last comment on that. I mean, when you talk about uncaptured water or whatever you did, unaccounted for water, we get billed for the unaccounted for water because it's getting pumped. So we have to pay for that. So that when you talk about the rate, the more we lessen that number and fix the breaks and find the leaks, and the more that number decreases, the less you have to charge divided up between the X amount of bills that go out for water, because we're still paying for that water. So the more we work to fix the leaks, the better off we are, and the less you have to pass on that cost to divided up between every meter in the city. So the better we get, the less chance we have to raise it. I mean, we had tons of water main breaks. I mean, when is, if I may, one last question. When is the water tower coming back online?
Folly Hill is full right now. We've done some bacteria testing to make sure that it's clean. Those tests should come back on Monday, and then we can put the.
So then we're going to lower then we're going to decrease the pressure and put the power. So then hopefully the stress that we've put on our old ancient infrastructure will diminish a little bit. Yes. So then, perfect. Thank you.
Any other councilors? I have a quick question, Dave. Going back to that program that's supposed to alert, I guess, alert the people at the water board if there's someone using more water than they usually do. Is that a real-time thing? And the reason I ask is, I know a couple of years ago I had an elder gentleman who got a bill for about $400. It was twice as much, almost 3 times as much as he usually got, and that was his notice. He had a running toilet and nobody ever notified him. I called, I forget who I called over there, and they told me they had nothing to do that. So I want to know what they actually do have and what the process is. Because, well, today's technology, we should be able to realize if someone's got a running toilet and at least give them the courtesy of a call before they get a $400 or $500 bill.
The new metering system now is based on the meter waking up somewhere around midnight every night and sending the day's consumption into our database computer at 120 Washington Street. So it comes all into a mainframe and is stored there, and then we can actually look at it and use that information. Previously, before the new system, we were actually, for most part, we were relying on going out once every quarter, once every 3 months, and taking a reading at those properties. So we've gone from once every 3 months to having daily information on water meter use. So that translates to, you know, and the computer will tell us if there's been continuous use over, you know, a 12-hour period or a 24-hour period. Typically, water use should go down to almost zero at night because people are sleeping, they're not using the water. If we see continuous use, then we get a red flag that says you have direct continuous use. And then there's most likely a leak there. And we haven't got to the point where we can reach out to every single property owner that has that issue, but we're working toward getting to that. And we certainly can answer questions a lot quicker than rather have to wait every 3 months to get consumption data.
Councilor Cotton?
As a follow-up to that question through you, Mr. Chair. So when the computer generates this information, does it spit out a list like every week and say, you got to talk to these, 10 people, 20 people? I mean, on a daily basis, you're going to get fluctuations, but over a week, if all of a sudden you see a spike in someone's bill, does it spit out names and addresses and someone makes a phone call, or?
Yep.
Or does does the computer system have the ability to make an automated call and say, hi, this is the City of Salem Water, City Engineer's Office, we're noticing a spike in your water usage, like you left a lawn sprinkler on for,
Right, no,
a week or something?
we're not at that point yet.
Okay,
But we do have that data now. We have the ability to look at that and see it in real time. And we can look over certain periods of time. It could be a week, it could be 3 weeks.
Okay.
We have the ability to actually get alarms if we're not receiving a reading, so that we know there's something wrong either with the transmitter at the property, it may be covered in snow, the wires may be broken, so it's not transmitting, the battery may be losing its life, so we're not getting the readings. So we get alarms like that, and we put that into our system, and we have our maintenance person go out and address those.
I guess just to follow up, you said you would get these readings. You get a printout, does someone look at them daily, or is it just a printout and house one on Jones Street? Is there an alarm that goes off? You just get a printout for that? Do you get like a master printout, which you actually have to go in and look at?
You can actually query different alarms that come up in different situations. It's typically done as we're doing the billing process. We can see that if we see an abnormal usage in a month period of time, we can look at that and say, hey, something's not right here, we can make the phone call.
But we don't have something that pops up every morning that says, the house at 1 Jones Street didn't stop at night, it went the whole time?
No, we have to actually go and query
Okay,
the program and get that information.
okay.
Some things that I think, eventually we're going to get to that point.
Mhm.
Certainly the system that we have now to bring the data in is very sophisticated.
Mhm.
We have a lot of data, and then it's a matter of how we disseminate it out to the public. We've talked about the possibility of making the consumption data available so that customers can just call in and check and see what they've been using for the past month or the past 6 months. Again, we're not there yet, but we have the ability to do that, and hopefully as the system grows and we get comfortable with it, we'll be able to make that available.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, briefly through you. How many of those calls have you made off the top of your head? Do you have any idea? Do you make them daily, weekly, monthly?
No, actually, they're made, the billing's done quarterly. There are about 800 accounts that are done monthly, and all of the other 13,000 accounts are done quarterly. And Karen's very diligent about when she sees extreme changes in consumption, but certainly we're not at the point where things pop up. We were looking through the billing, and we saw, geez, this particular bill usually is 2,000 cubic feet, and it's 10,000 this month. We'd make a call if we have somebody, but I would say probably every quarter she makes maybe 50 calls, 100 calls when she sees something like that. But it's definitely an exception basis in this contact. I think it's really extreme.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor O'Keefe.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, a question of the city engineer. Has the administration have discussed going to the legislature to change the ratio of Salem and Beverly water supply? Have we gone? Are we going to go for the next 3 years? Why are we going to absorb?
So the idea behind the running average, Counselor, is that at some point it's going to benefit Beverly and at some point it's going to benefit Salem. So we had that conversation with Mayor Scanlon right before the transition from Mayor Cahill came in. We spoke out with Mayor Cahill. The problem now is that it works to our advantage in 3 years. So it's difficult to say that it's something that's going to have a negative impact when the impact was only temporary, which is why it was created in the first place.
We joined that? Through you, Mr. Chairman. Our city engineer is a registered professional engineer. He should be able to figure out the exact quantity of water in cubic feet that we would be missing from when it was shut down to when it starts, correct? You would be able, analytically, are we doing that? Why should we suffer? Why should the consumers of Salem be suffering? Beverly should be taking the hit, not us.
It's the way the legislation was set up for the Beverly Salem Water Supply Board, and it was done.
It's 1924. I mean, we haven't adjusted it since then?
It's worked. We haven't had this kind of extreme change, and actually the water board is set up to smooth out that change, because that's why it uses a 3-year running average. The same thing with the wastewater plant. SESD uses the same 3-year running average for cost. So if you have one bad year, it's minimized by the other 2 years that are
Yeah, but
relatively good.
through you, there'd be a difference between wastewater and potable water. There's going to be a difference at what goes down the sewer and what goes on the grass.
There is.
Correct?
There is.
So we're talking about potable versus sewage.
But it's the same thing. There's a certain amount of water that becomes wastewater.
All right, so the answer is no, we're not doing it.
It would have to be a, it would have to be.
Well, what is the answer? Are we trying to change the legislation or aren't we? We're not. We're just gonna bite the bullet and pay.
If Beverly's not gonna come with us together to the legislature to make the change, it's not gonna happen. They want a unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. City Engineer. I know you're doing a
Focusing
good
our
job.
efforts on SCSD and the SCSD pilot.
Councilor McCarthy.
If there's no further discussion, I make a motion to approve, council number 349.
Will I have a councilor go ahead?
I'm sorry.
And I do want to open up to the audience.
Sure.
I was actually going to second that pending discussion from the audience.
Does anyone on the council have any questions for Mr. Norton? Before we go to the audience, Councilor Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you not being a member of the board, so, I mean, you're a member of the committee. And so my understanding correctly, what you're saying about that the system is able to catch over usage, because I have a constituent on my street that over the winter somehow their water filled their basement, and then they get a bill that was a few $100s more, and then when they followed up, they were told that it's on them, and sorry, we couldn't catch it. So it's improving, or?
It is improving. You know, we don't go searching every day to find abnormalities that are, you know, with water use. People, you know, unfortunately, people have plumbing leaks. I think the particular property you're talking about had a water spout.
It was a faucet that somehow
and it was just running.
shut on in the snow.
And yeah, and it's just, you know, the water goes through the meter, and we know that the water is being used, and we have to bill it based on the water going through the meter. We have a system in place for abatements in certain situations. That one really didn't apply, so there wasn't much we could do.
You all set? Okay, no more questions for Mr. Norton or Ms. Stanton? I'm going to open up to the floor in a minute. Do you have questions, or do you want to make a statement?
Statement.
Okay, if you guys could just stay a little bit, because there may be more questions, appreciate that. Okay, can I have a motion to open up to the floor?
Yes,
the audience?
No, no.
Susie? Just state your name and address for the record, please.
T.C. Riley Goggin, 9 Wisteria Street. Approximately 3 years ago, right in this chamber, they talked about changing over to smart meters. They entered into an agreement with Eves or somebody like that to replace the 20-year-old water meters that we had. Now, 20-year-old water meters is not extremely old, but they were not doing the job that they wanted to be done here in the city of Salem. We were told, after our different neighborhood associations and different meetings that they had here, the fact that the smart meters would be the new ones that we would be having. I was very leery about it until I listened to our city engineer go around and deliver a very, very well documented, talk with all the different groups. I attended 3 of them, and I became a cheerleader, a real cheerleader for the smart meters, because I was told that they were going to be not like the slow ones. They were going to be much faster, much quicker, and it also much more capable of telling us exactly how much water we used, not only commercially, but also residentially. And never again would it happen what happened over in the harbor, where we had a water break that was running millions of gallons of water practically per day. That would not have happened with this new smart meter. So in July thereabout, to my homes, I have 3, I own apartment houses, so on and so forth, the meters were replaced. And I was a happy, happy camper. The bills came in and everything seemed fine. Until recently, where I have received a bill for over $726 for one of the apartment houses, 4 apartments in it. And I knew we usually used approximately $200 worth of water and sewage. So I made a trip downtown to the engineering department, and let me tell you, I couldn't have received a more fair reception. Claudia and Karen working there were wonderful. They gave me all the information that I asked for. But my big message was this: if I was told when these smart meters went in, the fact that these meters were capable of delivering how much water I was using, and also if there was any leaks or so on and so forth. I checked with this type of smart meter, and I will tell you, the city of Cambridge has practically the very same one. The difference between the product that has been delivered to us and the product that they now have in the city of Cambridge is that here we need, after 2 years' time, we need, what do you think we need, people? We need software that goes with these meters in order to alert people on when there is or is not a leak, if a toilet is flowing, or so on and so forth. They did a reading for me right there at the engineer department and showed me exactly where it was, where I called after a tenant called me and let me know exactly where it was flowing. And then they showed me another one, where it was flowing. I really and truly did not think something like this was going to happen. Remember, I was a cheerleader for these smart meters. And I'll be quite honest with you, I have henceforth checked with many other people in the city. I am not the only one, resident or landlord, that has been hit with sky-high bills. I am really and truly disputing. I have paid the bill with the discount. I got it in early before the 26th, written right on there, dispute. There are many people out there in the city right now that I've talked to. One has a bill a month or two, the quarter before this, for over $1,100. They finally did give this individual a call and say, you know what? And she said, why wasn't I alerted before? So before you vote this in for the increase in water and sewage, take a very good look at how much money have we or have we not saved having these smart meters? And if we have saved money, then why don't we invest it in some software so you can alert people so that money is not being wasted or running off someplace? Why don't you help out the residents right here? And this also, folks, was a late file coming in. There should have been a public meeting on exactly what was going on. We have raised water and sewage again and again and again. Right now, your sewage bill here in the city of Salem, while we have a sewage plant that is supplying all the surrounding communities, we should have a break there. It's about 2.5 times what the water is. I'm just asking you, take a very good look before you vote something in. Thank you.
Councilor Sutton.
Does anybody on ANF know if there's anything in the budget for the software to bring this up to date? No? Okay, so is there anything pending on that, or any? Are they?
Let's go to you.
We'll be looking to provide that method of alerting homeowners, or at least providing the ability for homeowners to check their accounts. It's just not something that we're ready to do right now. We're still learning the new system. We just had a recent upgrade to the overall software that we're using, so we're just getting comfortable with it. It's still a lot of data. We deal with 12,000 accounts citywide. And it's just another level that we're not ready to go to yet. It's certainly something that we want to do, and I know I'm hearing from the council and from residents that it's something that we should explore. So we'll look into that and bring something to you in the near future when we're ready.
Councilor Go.
Thank you, Mr.
Before we open
Chairman.
it back up to the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to Dave, city engineer. When we decided to buy these smart meters, was there consideration given at the time to doing the software at the same time? Or was that a deliberate decision to do one and then the other?
It was a deliberate decision to purchase what we purchased and implement what we have implemented. We're far better now than we were 4 or 5 years ago, before we started the program. It's just going to the next level for having that ability to share the consumption data with residents that we're not ready for.
Is that typical of most communities, that they do develop the meters first and then the software, or do other communities tend to do both at the same time?
There's a risk, certainly, of trying to do too much at one time. And we want to make sure we're comfortable with the data, that we understand the data, and then we can start to share that with residents.
If I could just follow through, does this have anything to do with the fact that technologically and electronically we're just behind the times across the board in municipal government? We're really not up there in a lot of our GIC is struggling in a lot of ways. We brought in an IT director in order to address some of that. There's no connection there?
I don't think so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other members?
Yeah, GIS.
David, first of all, I want to thank you for answering my emails. I'm here in Israel Forester Street. I support the need for software because last summer my neighbors went away and their tenants wanted them on, and it wasn't shut off all the way. And so I had someone in my yard and he said, Mary, do you usually have a pond next door? So I would run it over and shut it off. But they had the same problem that TZ had and other people in the community had. And I guess my question regarding the new program was any of that associated with grant money to put in smart meters? No. Okay. So we really do need this software program which will solve some of our problems, but it's not budgeted yet. Is that correct? All right. Is that something that we can include in the budget for this year? Or is that something we have to wait another year to do?
We may have some CIP money that's still available to use. I would have to go and do some research on exactly what is out here and what's available, and then talk to the administration about that, and we bring that forward.
Okay. My other question is also about the sewage bill. I mean, I think it paid a lot. And my problem is representation on the board. Now, it's in our city, it's right on the waterfront, and it just seems to me that if we don't get a break in terms of a discount, then we should have more representation so we have more voice in the vote. Now, I don't know how you go about determining who's on the board and who's not on the board, but as far as I'm concerned, it's in my backyard, and I think we should have more to say about it, for what it's worth. And I have a question, I guess, for you. Now, we're going to have an increase, 1% for the next 2 or 3 years?
Just the next 1 year.
Next 1 year. Okay, does that mean that the city of Beverly will start picking up an increase? No. So we're just going to take the increase and that's not. Okay, Jason, let's see. Actually, this is my question. There was one other thing. I want to thank you, David. Forester Street is one of those streets that's had frequent water breaks over the years, really bad ones. So the city is replacing our water pipes, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. I do have one concern. As you go through not just my neighborhood, but other neighborhoods, the city is responsible for the street. And several years ago, we had this program called Home Serve, so that if you had a problem with your pipe coming from the main into your house, you could have insurance and cover. And for some reason that went away. I don't know why. My house was built about 1885, and I'm ready to stand here and tell you, I think I have the same pipes. So my concern is when these big trucks and the main is actually opened up and under full pressure, that I might have a screw in myself. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up on that, and I don't know what I can do actually to protect myself. That's it. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, Dave.
David, before you sit down, one quick question, follow up on some of this. What is the, do you know what the actual cost for the software would be? Or could you figure that out and get it to us? Something we may want to look forward. Councilor Toriel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, not being a member of the committee. Dave, I think one of the things that people have, gotten to here on the water issue, I think the smart meters have been a net benefit to us because we're capturing more accurate information about what we're using, and as you put, we've gone from like 25% of our of the city's bill not being allocated correctly down to a smaller figure, and I think it's a big improvement between that and repairs to the infrastructure and all the rest. But it's obvious that the water meter information is coming to us, and even if we're just tracking it in the spreadsheet for billing purposes, those flags are in place when we have a heavy usage event and stuff. And even though the software isn't doing it automatically, I mean, if it's dumping it into a spreadsheet, you can do sorts on that to try and capture information. I'd ask that you guys put it into the workflow of somebody within the department who's monitoring this stuff to just make it part of the workflow to look for these kind of anomalies until we can get the automated software to do it for us, it's a simple enough matter to have it be part of somebody's task to just check this every day or two and see if there's anything unusual going on, and hopefully we can kind of nip some of these big surprise bills in the bud before, you know, before they continue. So I'd like to see you guys try and do some of that in the workflow.
Yeah, that can be part of what I can come back to you with, what that impact would be. And we are, we're not overstaffed in engineering. Everybody is very, very busy, so that would add another layer of responsibility to somebody, whether that's a person that's currently there or a new person. But I can certainly bring that back to you.
Do you have any more questions for Ms. Knowlton? Thank you, David. Do I have anyone in the audience? Nobody? Do I have a motion from someone on the committee? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for their comments. I think they're all very good. I think that it's become very clear that we need to, I don't know, I hate to say this, but I guess we have to become big brother on water. I mean, because it seems that because my mother-in-law did it, God rest her soul. Her toilet was running, and all of my brother-in-law who paid the bills is like, why did the bill go up? And then we sent the plumber in the upstairs toilet that no one was using because she was relegated to the first floor towards the end, was running, and so we had it fixed. But yeah, it's kind of, and you wouldn't know it because it was just barely running, but it's enough to cause a spike. So all that being said, I think that we need to move forward and really look at the updated software. But what's in front of us right now is council order number
349.
349. I move for approval.
Approval, seconded by Councilor Legault. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed?
Passes 4-1.
Also, Mr. Chair, I move for approval of council order number 350. We kind of took them both up at the same side, talking about water and sewer.
I'd second that.
Approval, seconded by John. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed?
Passes 4-1.
Mr. Chair,
Councilor McCarthy.
I now move that we take up in order the trash contract.
Okay, we have 348.
Actually, it's 348. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, so I don't know how you want to deal with those.
Why don't we do 353, because we have the gentleman from Waste Management who's been sitting here patiently. So we're going to move to 353, and I believe Mr. Silva's going to give us a presentation. If I could, is it okay with members of the committee?
He's going from Beverly, it's okay?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to hold that against you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. It's good to be back for the first time. As you all know, we've gone through a tough time with our former trash hauler for the last 6 or so months, maybe even longer than that. And I'm happy to report that starting this week, we've had Waste Management, our new hauler, in town. I just got my hands on this graphic that you might be interested. This is a graphic of the last 6 weeks of missed pickups. You'll see this is this week compared to the last 6. So even in the first week of service, we've seen a pretty significant dramatic improvement. So I know that will continue to only improve as we move forward. So as you know, you have a contract in front of you. I have a brief presentation that I'm going to work through as fast as I can, and then I'm hoping to open it up a little bit for representatives of Waste Management, just to give you an overview of the company and some of their past experiences and how they've dealt with water communities, what's worked well, what hasn't worked so good, and any other information they want to add. So I don't need to go into great detail in the background because we've all had probably nightmares about it over the last 6 months. But as you all know, the level of service of our trash collection has dramatically decreased. What did dramatically decrease for all service levels at residential, commercial, municipal buildings. Our resident complaints and missed pickups dramatically decreased. Public barrel collection, we basically absorbed that task over the last, 2-3 months. just because it just wasn't being done by the hauler, even though it was an obligation of the contract. And their equipment was failing pretty rapidly. Yeah. That gives you an idea of the missed pickups and how we saw a dramatic increase over the months. That's 5 months, I think. You. So I wanted to give you an update of where we were with Northside carting. So we are still in discussions with Northside carting on trying to finalize details on a separation agreement with them. We have assigned this last month of the contract in June to Waste Management, so we've successfully completed that, right? And so this contract, as you know, as we proposed, starts next month in July. We have withheld payment, approximately 60,000 penalties. We've withheld the last, April and May, we've held the payments, the entire payments of those months, so we still have those. In total, we have about 310,000 that we continue to withhold until we have the separation agreement finalized. Okay. So a brief overview of the process. Because of the performance issues, we solicited proposals from those vendors that submitted one in 2013. We received 3, one from Waste Management, from JRM, and Capital. Based on the proposals we received, we narrowed it down to 2, which were Waste Management and JRM, and finally selected Waste Management. And you see the contract terms that we negotiated in front of you. Those are the folks that served on the selection and review team. Myself, Julie, Rose, the city engineer, and the purchasing agent. So the highlights of the new contract. It's a 10-year term starting in July. We have included in the language is a 5-year extension, but to emphasize that, we would need to come back and get the city council's approval. The regulations, as you know, stay the same. It says October, but it's really through mid-November, except for the fact that the recycling, it can be put out at the curb, dual stream, but it's being collected as single stream. It's all being thrown in the same truck. Automation, and with the carts, 96 gallon for recycling, 64 gallon for trash, will start mid-November. November 16th is in the contract. Also starting that month will be weekly collection of solid waste and every other week recycling. The city, frankly, has been doing the public hour collection, like I said, for the last couple of months. So we're going to officially take that responsibility over in this new contract and remove it from the vendor's responsibility. The other thing about this contract is we have a disposal contract that runs through July 2018 right now with Covanta. This contract transfers the disposal end of things also to Waste Management once the existing disposal contract expires. So I tried to do the next 2 slides and just try to address some of the questions that we're hearing regularly. And I think a lot of you have heard some of these answers, but I figured we'd quickly run through them just to try to be a little proactive with answering some of the questions that we think we can anticipate. So first of all, bulky item pickup. Again, no regulations are changing now, so bulky item pickup now through November 16 remains the same. But once automation takes place, bulky item pickup needs to be scheduled. You need to schedule it 24 hours in advance, and it will happen on your recycling day every other week. The bulky items will be picked up on your recycling day. Why every other week recycling? Frankly, a lot of it was driven by the numbers. It was an effort to control and contain costs. And also, we've been picking recycling up weekly for how long now, Julie? 6, 7, 8
I'm sorry,
years.
so much.
Weekly recycling.
That's it going with 7.
7 years. And we did see a bump right on the outset, but then it's really been, and we'll get into it in a future slide, but it's been flat. Our recycling has been flat for the last 5 or so years. And it's a trend that we're seeing in other communities, that communities are going back to the every other week recycling. Will every other week recycling collection reduce recycling? That is not the trends that we see, and Waste Management can speak to this as well. But with the larger toters, it encourages more recycling. With the single stream recycling, you see a dramatic increase in recycling, and you also see a decent sized reduction of solid waste on the other end. So you see a savings in the disposal cost. 10-year contract, again, that was an effort to a business decision to try to control the cost as much as possible. It allowed us to spread the cost of the toters out over a longer period of time, and to control the annual increase we see each year. Who pays for the carts? The cost of the carts are part of the contract. Why are carts so big? That's a big one we're hearing, is why these size carts? Again, it's consistent. The decision was based on the experience in other communities. It's based on trying to anticipate the worst case scenario. So if there's you have a big cookout in the backyard, if you have a big birthday party, if you get a big furniture delivery with big boxes, you'll have the capacity to handle those situations. A lot of people won't fill these bins up every week. You don't have to put, if there's enough capacity in the bins, you don't have to put them out every week. You can put them out every other week. So even the trash, if you don't need to put them out. So that was the rationale behind the cart size. And Waste Management can also talk about their experience they've seen in other communities. The city of Lynn just went through the same process. They have the same program in place that we have, and so far it seems to be going well. How do we handle multi-family homes? Each unit in multifamily will receive the 2 toters. There will be situations on a case-by-case basis where if there's a 6-family house, they may not need 12 bins. So we may be able to work with, in special circumstances, to try to reduce them to the extent we can. North Shore Recycled Fibers and Transfer Station, the same rules apply as always. So you still have access to both of those. These are some of the numbers that we were talking about. I referenced earlier. That just gives you an idea. The solid waste numbers and the recycling numbers have been relatively flat over the last 5 years. You've seen this. These are the finances of the next 3 years, where and it just shows the cost differential between Waste Management and Northside. And then this just gives you an idea of the cost. It's a 2.5% escalator. 20.4 million is the total cost of the 10-year contract. So I just wanted to lay these up just so we have a firm understanding of all the other financial considerations, not just the bottom line numbers. So we do expect to save on the disposal side about $125,000 annually. I hope that's conservative. I hope we can do better than that. That's based on going to single stream. And also there is a further restriction on solid waste that can be put at the curb with the toters. We also anticipate increased revenue based on the increase we're seeing in the trash contract. We also anticipate an increased revenue in the trash fees that you also have before you. Their expected additional costs are related to taking the public barrel collection in-house, set about $70,000 annually. And there are other cost variables in the contract. There's a fuel adjustment. There's the extra cost of bulky items. Overflow bag collection, we're charged every time they have to collect the overflow bag. and just $1 back. And it's not a huge cost area, but it is. And the processing of the recycling. The final number of the contract includes an estimate, so it's not on top of the number that you already have, but it is a variable within the contract. And this just I tried to summarize briefly some of the benefits that I think exist in the contract, and going to this new program. We're clearly going to get a superior level of service. We're already seeing that. It's more orderly at the curb. We hope we'll see a reduction in litter and debris in neighborhoods. They have a professional customer service shop. They have a customer service center. They hire customer service professionals to handle any issues or problems that arise. The automated collection, there's obvious benefits to that, and then the convenience of single stream recycling. So I think overall this is a great contract. I think it's a really good move for the city. I think it's a good time to make these changes based on our prior experience, and I hope you'll really give this some thought and consideration. So I don't know if Mike or Jim or both want to kind of get up and speak to just give some.
Could I ask some questions to Jason?
Sure, actually,
You want to ask questions?
why don't we ask questions before, and then Councilor
The
Bill?
questions are going to be a team effort, so there may be some others that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I'll direct my questions to you, but if anybody else wants to get up and answer them, they're more than welcome. So it came down to waste management and JRM. What was it exactly that caused waste management to stand out over JRM and, of course, over capital, too? What did they bring to the table that was special?
So capital was thrown out relatively easily just because the cost was out of the ballpark. So it was really above what the other two had proposed. I can speak for myself, but it was a committee choice. Honestly, the automation was a really attractive concept to the group. I think we're excited about the opportunity to go in that direction and make a real change to the service delivery of trash collection, but also kind of put together a sustainable model to handle solid waste and recycling at the curb. And really moving forward, I think this is going to benefit the city in a number of ways, through the automation, through the limitations of solid waste, through the encouragement of recycling through single stream.
Could I just follow up with two quick ones? On the parks pickup, the public barrels pickup, we obviously have a lot of those, and Northside was falling down in that regard long before a lot of these other issues came to the fore. We're going to be picking these up. We're looking at buying our own truck at some point. Where is that truck going to be tipping this stuff? Are we going to bring it to a collection point here in Salem where waste management is going to transport it to a landfill, or are we doing that ourselves?
So we could do that. I think it's a trial by error to a certain extent. The idea right now is to haul it to Lynn ourselves initially, see how that goes. And if we don't like how that's going, then we can decide to do exactly what you said, just dump it in a container and have waste management haul it.
So at this point, there'll be a little more of a savings for us by transporting and tipping it ourselves, but down the road, that little bit of a savings may not continue to be realized. We may turn it over.
No, we'll see some based on the price we got, we will see savings in that.
But if we end up not tipping ourselves, some of that savings will.
Well, as part of the contract, we have containers at DPW already. So it wouldn't. I don't think we'd incur an extra charge to do either.
Actually, if I may, I think I can answer that. You're talking about where we're going to take the trash?
Yes, we're going to tip it ourselves.
We're still, regardless if we bring it ourselves or Waste brings it, we're still paying per ton on the contract with Covanta.
Oh, I understand that, but we're also paying our staff and our vehicle and our gas to go there. So that's all. That was my only point.
I see that point.
Yeah, that was my only point. I understand that the tipping process. And just one more thing very quickly on, in the past, we've recycled paper and Past cardboard, we've realized a little bit of a benefit on that.
Yes.
That's going away.
It is going away. We saw about $60,000 a year in paper revenue, and that does go away with this contract. It's more than offset though by the expected savings in disposal. So it's double, the savings in disposal are double. We expect to save 125 in disposal.
I'll yield, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Okay, Councilman McCarthy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, first of all, to Mr. Silver, Mr. Knowlton, Julie Rose, and whoever else was involved in the contract, I want to thank you. I mean, it's well done, well thought out. I mean, I think it'll be a big benefit. I mean, obviously, I was talking to Mr. Silver earlier today, and I told him point blank, I said, I don't think there has been a week in the last, I can't tell you how many months I haven't got a Facebook message post or an email or a text message with regards to my street got missed. Bob, can you make a phone call? And I'd call Julie or I'd call whoever, and it was like, yeah, we're on it. Or I called Jeff or whoever, and or I'd call Mark directly. Mark was good about picking up I know he wasn't good about picking up other people's cell phone calls, but he was always good about picking up mine. But that has dramatically dropped even in the last week and a half. I mean, my ward was day one of them, and then it was the first of the second week, and the drop off on calls has been dramatic. It's so kudos. Just a couple quick questions without getting into the whole contract. Dumpsters for events. Who's covering dumpsters for events? I know it used to be in Northside's contract that for like 4th of July or whatever. And please don't. I'm just they're just finishing the process of taking all the aggregate that we're grinding from the streets to repave the parking lot at the fort, so it'll be all nice and graded off. Please don't start dumping dumpsters down there for events again, because it seems every time there was an event in the city, the easiest spot to put a dumpster was the fort parking lot, because they could just back the trucks up there nice and easily. So if we could find another spot, since we're doing such a nice job of cleaning up that mess, I'd greatly appreciate that. You alluded to someone.
Any other ward councilors want those in there?
No, no one wants a wood. Thank you.
Beverly, actually.
Put one right in that bridge. You alluded to the transfer station. Is Northside still going?
No, I didn't.
Someone did.
Okay.
You mentioned
Someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Sorry.
So Northside's still running the transfer station?
Yes.
Different contract.
Separate contract.
Separate contract. I know the transfers. So they're still taking yard waste.
Yes.
If a homeowner is cleaning out their yard or the flower beds or their gardens or whatever, they can still drop it off up there?
Yes, sir.
Who is picking up yard waste according to the yard waste schedule?
Waste management.
Okay, perfect. So I won't even ask where they're getting rid of it. Now this goes back to this winter, only because it affected my ward twice because of the snowstorms.
Yeah.
Who makes the call for when trash collection gets canceled? Because if there's a snow emergency call before 7 a.m., who has the final say? Because the mayor and I had many conversations about this, because Northside said it wasn't a state, it didn't come down as a state of emergency, so therefore we're gonna pick up trash. And the trash contractor's out there picking up trash. At the same time, the city plows on the street, and we're asking every resident to get their car off the street.
Right.
And they're picking up trash. Who makes the call on when trash does not get picked up?
The language in the contract says that the vendor, in conjunction with the contract manager, who is the city engineer, will make that decision.
Okay,
But
because
it needs to be approved by the city engineer.
approved by the city engineer. Because I know I was told in the last contract, there was some language based on a state of emergency called by the governor. The governor didn't call a state of emergencies, so therefore we're picking up trash on Monday. Great. No one put their trash out, and they just kind of zoomed through the streets, and it was just a problem. I'm not saying these guys, but I just want that clarified, so before we get into another major, God forbid, I don't want any major snow
There's clear
events.
language in the contract on it.
Perfect. And just briefly, what is the process, one more, process for bulky items? I know that we had this conversation, we're still gonna pick up bulky items, I know that Lynn doesn't. So if you're the average homeowner putting out a bulky item, do you have to make a phone call to do that?
You do. You have to make an appointment.
You have to make an appointment?
Yes. And it will be collected on your recycling day, and you have to give 24 hours.
You have to give 24-hour notice that you're gonna put out a bulky item.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be an approved list of bulky items? Because I know when we first did the trash contract, a bunch of years ago, carpet is considered if someone rips up the carpet in the house, carpet is considered construction debris, so they wouldn't pick that up.
That's correct.
So if you're gonna throw out a bureau, desk, something bigger than won't fit in a trash barrel, you have to make a phone call,
Correct,
and it's only picked up during the week that they do recycle.
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor O'Keefe?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, couple of questions. I want to compliment the new Director of Municipal Operations and Capital Improvements. I want to compliment him on the PowerPoint presentation. And I asked him this question earlier, and he gave me a good answer. The contract says, if I don't have enough barrels, I'm not going to have enough barrels, the 64 and the 90. It says rent. What does that mean, rent? And how much is rent? Another barrel.
It is.
What am I talking about? By the year, the day, or what? How much? How much is rent?
Actually, for this time, can we...
Am I
have the-
true? It says
Councilor
rent?
O'Keefe, excuse me one sec. I just want to introduce the gentleman for Waste Management who are here. You could both come up and introduce yourself, because I think at this point you may be able to answer some questions.
Thank you.
That's our job.
No, let Jason go.
Jason, stay up there.
Rent. Rent, Mr. Chairman.
Just we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Jim Masella with Waste Management. I'm the Area Director of Public Sector Solutions, so we deal with all of our city and town clients.
And my name is Mike Wall. I'm the Public Sector Solutions Rep. So more importantly, I'm your face from Waste Management.
So you're the guy that's gonna give us your cell phone number?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my question.
Okay, what was the question on that?
Rent.
Rent, yes. In the contract, and in all of the automated contracts that we have, we build in the option for the resident if they have more. And there are those occasions where there are bigger families and they do require more space. They can rent on an annual basis an additional container. And the rent is covering really the operating cost and the cost of the container. Under the disposal contract, as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, that's still paid for.
So how much?
It's clearly defined in the contract.
There's no cost on the contract, I see. All right, while Jason's looking that up,
Is in addition to that.
all right,
There still is,
one other question, now leaving my
He's
colleagues.
still trying to answer you.
All right, Mr.
just as in addition to that, kind of similar to how you have your program today where you get, you buy overflow bags when you have more barrels. So there is still that option. If people don't, if they just occasionally produce extra trash, they can still use the overflow bag.
Thank you.
Last question. I represent Salem State University area. Every spring or fall, especially spring, they clean out their apartments, put all the sofas and box springs and everything out on the sidewalk to be collected. If I call or they call on a Friday and the pickup is a Wednesday, you want a 24 hours notice, you're gonna pick up everything? You're gonna pick up the 2 sofas, the 2 mattresses, the 4 box springs? What are you gonna pick up? That's what I need to know. Ooh, how many bulky items?
Where, that's a practice that never should have happened.
It's what?
That's a practice that, if they were picking that up, they shouldn't have to begin with.
But I told my-
One bulky item. at
But
a
Mr.
time.
Silva, I would tell my constituents to take it across the street to the Pearson that didn't have the bulky items to pick it picked up, and Northside would pick it up.
Well,
Now, what's gonna happen now? Am I gonna be?
That will work through November, and then they're gonna have to make an appointment to have their bulky item collected. It needs to be that way, just so we understand the reason, is because they're driving automated trucks. So they need a separate, back-loaded truck to collect these bulky items. So that's the reason it needs to be
I saw-
scheduled rather than,
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
You still have the floor.
I watched a baseball game in Lynn Saturday, and Waste Management was picking up in West Lynn. There were at least 5 trucks following each other, and one of them was the big one you can put the sofa and the box springs in, big ones. So, I mean, are we gonna have that kind of, 5 of them were collecting rubbish, which is good.
Yeah, well.
Us, I never did that.
We're gonna have, the right amount of vehicles in the city to
One of my colleagues says it's $6 a month. For what size?
Page
Same
24.
size, 64 gallon for trash.
24.
So that's 6, 12, 70, that's $72 a year additional that I as a homeowner or other people have to pay, right? It's on page 24.
Take your word for it.
Well, we can amend that contract to take that part out if we want to, I guess.
Second paragraph.
I can't see, additional costs to a homeowner of $72 a year for another trash. I mean, Christmas and,
Yeah, again, that's something for, somebody that needs it
anyways,
all the time.
I want to compliment, I mean, my daughter's in Lynn, and Lynn collectors, and she's fine with but they all have big containers. They have 90s, they don't have 62s.
They have 64.
I know, I went over and looked at them the other day in her backyard.
They have the exact same
All right,
program.
never mind.
You all set, Councilor?
Thank you, thank you.
Councilor Torrio?
All set.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you not being a member of the committee, I'm excited that we're moving to automated collection. I've seen that work in a few other cities, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and should greatly, with the process, it should greatly decrease the amount of trash that winds up out on the street. And I'm also really excited that we're going to be using the covered toters. I have one of those at my house now, although it's not one of yours, it's fundamentally identical. I have twofold questions. One is, I could say this on, and I may be stealing one of my friend's thunder over there, but there's a lot of people in Salem that are in smaller homes. There's a lot of people living in, live by themselves in fairly small houses in the denser areas of the city. And I hope that we have some options for pickup available for them that don't require that much bulk. I mean, I have, at my house, we generally fill up the equivalent of about that 64 every week or so, depending. 96 is gonna be close for us in a single family house, but, and I understand with the overflow stuff, we'll be able to handle that, but wintertime, I can see it being fairly difficult for people, especially if we have a paralyzing winter like this one, to get these toters down to the street and manage that. My toter was buried for 2 months, and that wasn't particularly fun, but so that, and also so having something smaller for the smaller households is one. And also, once we move over to automation, we've just made a lot of people's trash barrels obsolete. So, I know lots of houses, because I see them all up and down the street, and they've got the old blue barrels with the separate lid, and they have, small ones with a flip lid and all sorts of other stuff, and those aren't gonna be usable anymore by this plan, so what are people gonna do with those? How do they handle that?
Leaves them.
Yeah, I get it. So a couple things. I've heard a lot about the cart size too, a lot from from individual councils as well. This is what we're gonna ask people. We're gonna ask people to have a real positive attitude and to give it a chance. We will absolutely work with people on it, but we really want people to try these containers and see how they work. If there are individual cases on a case-by-case basis, we will work with individuals to try to alleviate problems. But we really want people to give it a chance and try to work with us on it. So that's the answer to the first question.
I think they'll be great for pretty much 9 out of 10 houses here, but.
Yeah. So for the barrel disposal, we have talked about that, and there are a couple options. You want to talk about this, because you have experience with this.
Actually, with the communication that we'll be putting out to the city, and we'll be working with the city to do this, it'll be a series of communication out to the residents leading up to the actual distribution of the containers. But one of the biggest things that we do here is, what am I gonna do with my old containers? So we'll work with the DPW department. I know they have a metal container down there. So residents will be able to bring the old metal trash barrels down there. And then we'll coordinate with them also. We'll have an event after the delivery and after the kickoff and the start of the automated collection. We'll have an event somewhere that we designate in the city
that the residents can bring their old containers down, particularly the rigid plastic ones, and we'll have those recycled. But interestingly enough, one of the things that we do, and we say it very clearly in our communication, is we highly recommend that those that don't have the room, they're obviously gonna have to get rid of them. But if you have the room to keep them, use them for yard waste. And as opposed to now going out and buying bags for your yard waste, you can have it recyclable for your yard waste. But it'll be kind of a 2 or 3 step process for folks to get rid of the containers. And you know, those that don't want to go anywhere to get rid of them, they can schedule a bulk pickup and they'll be picked up.
Councilor Torrio, you still have the floor.
All set, thank you.
Councilor Sargent?
Thank you.
Can the same truck, say the trash truck, pick up both toters, 96 and 64 gallon?
They're the same type of vehicle. It's an automated side load truck. So the trucks, they can pick them up, but they don't. We'll have designated specific recycling trucks in town and trash trucks in town. In addition to which, we're gonna have some smaller vehicles in town too, because we already know that there are some of the city streets that some of these vehicles just can't get down.
What I'm getting at is if somebody wants a smaller receptacle, they might want the 64 gallon. But if it can pick up either or, you got somebody with, 5 kids, they might want the 96 gallon one for their trash. But they,
You want to be clear about the 64 gallon containers for trash.
Yeah,
The 96 gallon containers for recycling.
I'm very clear about that. That's why I'm making my questions. Because we've been having 3 barrels. 33 times 3 is 99 gallons.
Right.
And a lot of households are gonna be really surprised to find out they're going down to a receptacle that they might not be able to get all their trash in that they've been used to putting in. And that's why I'm saying, are we still gonna have unlimited recycle? Can we still put out unlimited recyclables?
You can fill up the 96 gallon toilet.
So if you can't fill that up, what do you do with your recyclables? You have to pay extra $6 a month extra for another recyclable toter, if you want that?
You mean if you fill up the 96 gallon?
Yeah, no, if you fill up the 96 gallons, say, what do you do with it?
And you'll still have the outlets to drop it off.
Right. But if we have unlimited, it's
Just from experience, we've got a number of these types of programs that are going in many communities. And so in communities where there's a 96 gallon container picked up every other week for recycling, the request for second carts is less than 0.5%. It's very, very rare that people need it. There are those occasions, but if you break a cardboard down and you do this pretty large capacity, and the same holds true on the trash side. The one thing, the one dynamic of when you go to a program like this is the container size reminds people that they have to recycle. And so those that might be, somewhat recycling but not doing it all the way, they tend to do it all the way and generally can get away with the 64 gallon containers. So we have very, very few requests for second containers in any of the programs that we do.
what I'm getting at is, you get myself, I'd have 3 kids away at college and I put out 1 barrel. But come summertime, you get 3 kids home, their friends half the time, I was putting out 3 barrels. So during those summer months, I would have to rent a toter for the summer.
Or use overflow bags.
Well, you still gotta pay for them too, don't you?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And that's what I'm getting at. I have no problem with the cost of the contract being higher. It's just that the few people, if it's 10% of our people that can't handle the trash they normally were handling, it's a problem. And I'm also worried about things ending up on the side of the road, which is becoming more and more common. Some of these people want to pay as you throw it, It gets thrown in some other people's cities and on Swampscott Road and those kind of places. And so that's my biggest worry. There's no way we can go to have a 96 gallon, regular barrel, which would be what we normally have. If it's half full, no big deal. But if people don't have enough, that becomes a bigger deal. There's no way we can go to the 96 gallon.
There's certainly a way we can do it, it just wouldn't be this cost proposal I'm trying to do. It would be an entirely new contract and new negotiation. They couldn't do that.
Is the barrel any more expensive, the 96 gallon, than a 64?
A little bit more expensive, yeah, a little bit more expensive barrel, and you're gonna probably walk away from your ability to improve your recycling rate and reduce your trash disposal.
I don't see us having any more trash. I mean, we have the trash we have. I don't think trash that people put out is going to increase significantly. The people are not going to go out, of course, looking for extra trash to put out. You put out what your family generates.
What happens though is that if we took, and we've done this, people who feel like they can't live with the 64 gallon, we actually do an audit and pull apart everything that they put out, we generally are taking another 20 to 30% out of their trash stream and putting it into the recycling container. And so that's really kind of one of the benefits of, it's somewhat containing and really encouraging people to be a little bit more diligent about recycling. I mean, it's certainly a policy decision if you choose not to, try to move in the direction of better recycling and less trash to do that.
Part of the idea too is going to single stream recycling hopefully makes it a lot more convenient for people to recycle. And the idea and the hope is that encourages people to recycle more.
It will. It definitely will. And we can get rid of those blue bins because our trash is going to go down 50% in our city. I've seen people come home to empty bins that I watched everything blow out down the street one day with literally nothing got picked up by the person. So our trash is going to go big time. And I think some people didn't always put them in there because they didn't want to go to Home Depot and buy the blue barrel and didn't want to see it blow down the street. So it will maybe work. Okay, I don't want to keep eating that one. The other thing is the bulky item. If somebody has a box spring and a mattress, so they're going to have to call you 2 weeks in a row to get the box spring. You'll be able to get them both.
Yeah, it would be a box, a mattress in a box.
Yeah, good. Cause I've seen that happen where they only take one of them, and it comes the next week anyways. And hopefully that's good common sense. Thank you.
Councilor Fury, you had a problem, you still?
I'm Newash.
Okay, Councilor Epley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, not being a member of the committee through you. Welcome. Welcome. And thank you for coming to our city and helping us because we've been through, as I'm sure you've heard from a lot of folks, a nightmare for the past year. I know I can speak confidently on behalf of the other ward councilors. We have lived through a nightmare, and especially the last couple of months with basically delinquent pickups. And I don't want to repeat very much of what my colleagues have said, but I want to go to, let me just start out by saying, I think that overall, in general terms, this is a fantastic proposal. This is, I think, the right move for the city in terms of automation. I think in terms of moving us toward a single stream recycling program is great. I think the idea, I mean, I'll trust you for now on the 64 versus 96. I'm a little hesitant, but I'll put my fear aside for a second. I do absolutely like the concept of having a smaller trash versus a much larger recycling. That makes a lot of sense to me in terms of incentivizing. So and the numbers don't bother me at all. You get what you pay for. That's what I said when we were dealing with Northside, and that's what I'm going to say when we deal with waste management, is you get what you pay for. That being said, and looking, Mr. Silva, at the proposal that you provided, with the other financial considerations, if I'm adding them up correctly, with $125,000 in annual disposal cost savings, $133,600 in increased revenue from trash fees, and with the $70,000 that we're saving for public barrel collection, that's almost the $330,000 annual delta. Did I miss?
Yeah, the 70 cost.
Pardon?
The 70,000.
Oh, additional cost. Oh, so that's the wrong direction. All right. So, it does cover some of the delta between what we had between Northside and now Waste Management. To my questions, the Ward 5 councilor had mentioned So what are we gonna do with the old trash receptacles and recycling receptacles? I can appreciate Waste Management's view on this and so forth. I'm thinking about it from a Salem standpoint and what our residents have had to deal with for the past year. And I think that this is something that either the city and or Waste Management working together, and I mentioned this to Mr. Silva earlier, we need to have a designated pickup by either DPW or Waste Management of those old receptacles. That is a customer service requirement, I think, for our residents and what they've had to deal with for the past year. If we were just moving from one good provider to another, and we were in transitioning, then maybe we would have take your old trash barrel down to DPW day kind of thing, or down at the high school or something like that. That might make sense, and maybe we can do a hybrid of this, but I think it's absolutely vital that we have a pickup, 1st of December, last of November, something like that, working in concert with Waste Management, or maybe it's us, picking up those receptacles that people don't use as yard waste. And I completely agree with that. That's a fantastic idea. That's what people should be doing, but there will be, literally tens of thousands of empty barrels to pick up. Mr. Wall, I am going to give you my cell phone number, and I would definitely like to take down your cell phone number. I don't have to do that in a public meeting right now, but I definitely would like that.
Right on his card.
Okay, fair enough. There are, and Mr. Wall, you had mentioned that there are smaller vehicles to go down those very narrow streets of Salem. Fortunately, in Ward 4, which is the very hilly Witchcraft Heights area of the city, you just have to deal with transmissions being able to go up and down large hills. But that size of the trucks aren't not necessarily as problematic, except for Ord Street Court. Ord Street Court is the stepchild of Ward 4, and those poor guys, the poor folks that live down there, have had a missed trash even under you guys this week, because it is such a narrow street. And I could talk to you afterwards about it, but I just want to note, I am one of 7 ward councilors. I know that especially in Ward 2 and Ward 1, you guys have very small streets in areas. They're going to be definitely vital for those ward councilors to be in contact with you. What other questions do I have? I think that's it, other than just saying welcome, and I'm thrilled that we're moving forward with this.
I'd just say, to comment on the pickup issue, I agree. I mean, we can look at doing a hybrid approach so that we make it as convenient as possible for residents after the last year.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you. Just prefacing in the beginning, I have a few questions for you. First thing, it came through an email through some of our historic folks. Will all of our toters be green, or is that something we can negotiate?
We're gonna work with the city. There's standard colors.
Okay.
But we do need to differentiate when we go to the every other week. However we differentiate it, but it needs to be a different color, whether it's a different color lid but there are some standard colors that the city can choose from. That obviously is Waste Management green. But there are some colors which we're very fond of. Yeah, we happen to like it.
It's very good on St. Patrick's Day.
This
like Fenway Park
likes
green.
it. But
Green's
no,
good with me.
that's something that, but it's not going to be 20 different colors. It'll be
Not the bright yellow lids.
And I think this one would go through Jason or Julie Rose. Who made the decision for the size of dumpsters and the amount of recycling toters for municipal properties?
It's pretty, Julie, you can chime in on this too, but my recollection is it's pretty consistent with what we have currently and what we've had in prior contracts with some minor changes. And I think there's also language in the contract that allows for us to change that on occasion. So if we need to make changes to the schedule that we've provided in the contract, there is an allowance for us to do that as well. And modify the frequency of collection as well.
But that said, I've already set up meetings with the schools and some housing authority to determine in some instances how it's going to change, whether they may be compacting in some places. And there's some specific, requests we've gotten for increasing the size of dumpsters, but sometimes that is actually something that would not be a good idea because it's a neighborhood dumping area, so. In some instances, we're gonna lock the dumpsters and some areas the size.
That's great to hear. I was looking specifically, I noticed the fire department had a smaller dumpsters and a lot more recycling toters versus our police department had 2 recycling toters and a 10-yard dumpster.
Well, these guys are experts and they'll take a look at that and see how the
Thank you for that.
frequency is. And we've already had some of those meetings, not with those specific departments.
And for the notification to residents, will you be providing that in Spanish as well?
We will be providing it.
And that will be done through waste management costs for the translations as well?
Yeah, there'll be a couple of communication pieces that go out. The guide, which will be the bigger of the two, we'll have to talk with the city to decide, you know, if we want to put that out in Spanish. Space may prohibit it. But in other communities, what we've done is we've posted the communications on the website, and they have the Google Translate, and so
Yeah, that's actually oftentimes not accurate.
We'll ensure that all areas are.
We'll make sure that we get it at least in English and in Spanish. And if you notice, before you leave this evening, there's an in-mold label on top of the larger container over here, and that is what goes in and what doesn't go in. And that will be printed in English and in Spanish.
Thank you for that. How do you foresee working with our Salem Housing Authority? I know some of our properties right now, you go by and it's completely trash receptacles packed to the brims.
We've already met with them. We met with them last week, and we have an operating manager that's responsible for the community. He was with me, and he's already meeting with them. And we're going to go out and take a look at all the dumpsters, and do they have the right size? Should we change the sizes? We're also going to take a look at potentially changing the schedule so that there isn't a confusion throughout the week as to when they're supposed to go. And in a lot of cases, with a lot of the dumpsters that are in the communities, we try and get them on one day. So if we miss them, we'll know.
2 more quick things. Could you give a couple examples of where automation would not be feasible? Is it the narrow streets or?
A lot of times it's not necessarily the narrow street. You know, we've had very little, and I don't want to mislead anybody, there's aberrations and intricacies of every community that you have to work through, but very, very few. And, you know, as Jason said, we automated Lynn last year. We automated them in and around the same time that we're targeting for you, and rolled that into the winter. So we all know what kind of a winter we had. Believe it or not, with the containers, even with the snow, it was better than it would have been if people just put bags and stuff at the street level. So it's just.
And I think maybe I just help too, that, you know, when we talk about automation, I think we talk in terms of the user, the resident, you know, it's using a cart. So there's things that we ask, right, try to make it accessible when you can. But we know there's parts of the city where we're going to have to do it with a semi-automated truck. So it's like very similar to what you see out there today. So there'll be a combination of fully automated, you know, arm trucks and trucks where, you know, backing down the dead end, that, you know, you're going to see a crew roll the carts, tipping it into the back of the truck and putting it back in the curb. So we kind of route ourselves to take, you know, those things into consideration.
And one more question. I think this would go to the city solicitor or to you guys. Is it possible for landlords to write into their leases these things such as the bulky items so that the landlords aren't getting hit, that it actually goes into a tenant's lease?
The landlord can put anything they want in there. It's contract.
Great news. Thank you.
Councilor Dwight.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not being a member of the committee, but through you, I just have to tell you that I was impressed with the contract when I first read it, and I actually have a dear family friend who used to be the major accounts manager of the Connecticut Waste Management. So I went through this contract with him and made me feel even better about this and more excited about this. One of the things that he pointed out was that typically the automated trucks are a little quieter than the non-automated, and he had mentioned that it's possible to, are these going to be natural gas?
These won't. These will be diesel.
Okay, and are these, gosh, I read it on my notes just are these also, are these going to be split hoppers, or are there going to be different trucks?
There'll be different trucks.
Okay. And, you know, something else that he was pointing out, that he said, you know, going to single stream, that's really a huge tool in getting people to do more recycling than doing the garbage, and just in doing the quick math about it, that if our current recycle bins are roughly 18 gallons right now, it's like 72 gallons of recycling each one a month, and then going to 192 gallons per month. I mean, that's huge, and that's fantastic. And then in terms of the trash, if it's 35 gallons, that's about 144 gallons a month, going to 260 gallons a month. I mean, I'd love to see the trash continue to go smaller, but I think that this really is a great way to get people going towards recycling more so. And then I don't know if it's a, maybe Jason, question about the small collection trucks. So if we're having a winter like we've had, which it's not about if, it's when we have a winter like we had, and if there's difficulty.
Are you kidding? Yeah. What are you thinking?
Got a plan.
I'm based in reality. If it happens once, it's going to happen again.
It's going to be sunny all next winter. Sunny.
Not in our lifetime, okay?
So, or you were talking about in Lynn, how well you were able to still get the trash. Are we just having one small collection truck available, or are we going to have more if there's more difficulty getting down those streets?
Yeah, you know, you have a fleet of trucks that's set to normal conditions. We have abnormal conditions like we had this winter. It's not about, you know, you can't pull a fleet of small trucks and roll them into a city, but it is about communication. And that was the difference in Lynn. Lynn has plenty of small streets, maybe not, you know, not as many as challenging as Salem, but it was the line of communications to the point where our route managers had the line of communication to police. Police would take cars off the street so that we could get down, you know, the streets. We communicate to the city when we can't get to a street. We work together. It has to be a little bit of snow removal done. So it's not just our drivers driving by, you know, hey, sorry, we'll see you in 3 weeks. It's telling you what we can't do and what we can do, working together and alleviate the situation so that it doesn't, you know, go on for week after week after week.
And so in that same vein, when I was talking with a constituent on Japonica who works for a trash hauler, and he uses the automated trucks, and he said, you know,
connections to trash hauler.
Yeah, I know.
Part Italian.
Whatever you want.
Great, but so one of the things that he said so one of the things that he said was the big challenge is when cars are parked in front of where he needs to have that arm reach out, and so what is going to be the communication plan for that when that first starts?
That's it. That's part of the outreach that we talk about is, you know, car placement, and you know when we are there on service day, where to put it, where to park your car. We realize that we're going to encounter situations where somebody puts their card out and somebody else parks in front of it. You know, our guys will be pretty diligent about getting out and moving the container, getting it empty, and then notifying the resident to, you know, please try to alleviate that next time. The important thing is the arm will reach all the way in front of a car. And so it's not like, you know, the container has to be 25 feet away from an object, just about 3 to 5 feet. And so if somebody leaves it at the mouth of their driveway and just parks a little bit further back, they can reach in and get the container. So we'll go through that process when we do the distribution and the first few rounds of collections of putting containers where they need to be, notifying people how to place them out.
The other important thing that we're going to do, we already met with the recycling committee on Tuesday, is we really are going to work with them on a pretty robust education campaign leading up to November, just so people are very well aware of what our plans are and what some of the new regulations are starting in November.
Yeah, thank you very much. So in terms of the other conditions about not to assign or contract? Like, I know, you're now picking up trash trucks, like, today I saw, I think it was Premier.
Yeah, we've,
But they had the waste management vests on.
yeah, we have actually rented, some new vehicles, in the interim while we're working through the contract terms.
We wanted them to start earlier than they were actually prepared for, and I'm sure you can imagine why. So they actually, and even before their actual contract was assigned, the last week of May, they helped us that week just because we were desperate for help. So they really stepped up to the plate, did an excellent job last week of May, and to get ready, they went out and actually at least, how many trucks?
We brought in 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Well, over the next few weeks, there'll be magnetic signs that'll be put over the.
It takes about generally 6 months from the time we execute a contract to get equipment in. And so we'll use these trucks as long as we need to because they're, high quality vehicles and we know that they'll be reliable and we get those out as we can get these.
And then in terms of discussing the commodity pricing with the blended value and the value share, the example that was given was the March 2015 usage. Am I understanding this correctly, that the processing fee was negative $14.94, and that was what the city of Salem would have paid? Am I reading that? Okay. Okay, great. I think that might be it.
Council Theory.
Thank you.
As one who's lost his job 5 years ago in a budget cut program situation, I have great compassion for the workers that being let go in Northside Carding. It's not the fault of some of the workers at Northside Carding. It deals with a lot of bureaucracy and mismanagement on the city's part and on Northside Carding. Many of the workers have worked hard, know the city of Salem very well, know the ins and outs of the city of Salem. What has been the program of the opportunity for workers at Northside Carding to come on board to work for you? Because many of them, this is their primary bed, this is their primary job, their families. Some of them live in Salem. And they've been very good to Salem, they're very good to Northside Carding. Now the jobs are being abolished, new company coming in, new kid on the block, waste management. What happens to them?
We reached out to the principals of Northside to let them know that the requisitions are open at Waste Management, and any of the prior employees who want to apply can. Our route manager has been out there for the last 2 weeks following the vehicles of what vehicles they sent to town, and has talked to the employees about coming in to apply at Waste Management. So we in advance, we reached out, and there's value. There's no question about it. If there's some good folks out there that know the city, that want to apply at Waste Management, we're welcome to have them.
Thank you.
I think Councilor McCarthy, did you have one a while ago?
I did have my hand up.
Do you remember why?
Yes. Is it gonna be a if I'm through you, Mr. Chair, if it's gonna be a situation where recycle is gonna be every other week, are we gonna is it gonna be clear it's gonna be the first and third or the second and fourth of the week of the month, or is it gonna be, you're gonna do half the city one time or half the other time, or how's that gonna work logistically?
It will be split half and half, and then there'll be a calendar that goes out, and however we decide to use the colors, we'll make it very simple on that calendar. You'll see, for lack of a blue week, yellow week, and that will be your recycling week.
Okay, so it's gonna be divided up by ward.
Yeah.
And
so Monday's route will be cut in half. There'll be an A week and a B week, if you will.
Okay, so there will be a recycling truck in the city every week, but it just won't be picking up
every day. Every day.
So if something was missed, then you could send it.
Absolutely.
How, in your experience, and how does it work now? I mean, we put out, everywhere, we put out those little blue bins. And my wife will tell you, if we have, say like we had an event, like you guys had up like a birthday party or something like that, my wife will put the recycle out early, because the guys in the pickup trucks come by and then they empty out the recycle bin so she can add more.
Oh.
So now we're going into a big toter with a lid that clamps down on top, and now you're commingling, so you're throwing cardboard, paper, cans, whatever. And you just did this in Lynn. What has been, and I don't mean this in jest. What has been your experience with people, basically, can people, the people who pick trash to try to pick cans for the nickels, or they're taking metal out, or whatever it is they're doing? What has been your experience? That's a big bin. And now all of a sudden, that bin's gonna be filled with recyclable cans, whether or not they're nickel deposits or they're aluminum or whatever, and some guys pick all those out of people like opening those lids up and start flipping trash out.
It definitely slows that down, because it's harder to get in there. And pull
Right.
things out. I don't know, most of the communities that we work with, even though it's kind of something that's gone on, forever, are tending to move to put anti-scavenging, laws on the books, because typically what happens is in a neighborhood, you start seeing somebody come down, and they do, pick things out, but they also generally leave a mess. So it probably slows that down a little bit. We haven't seen, a problem, in Lynn or any other community, where anybody has like tipped the barrels over and started spreading things out. I think it's just the people from Lynn came to Salem, so when we put the carts out here, they'll have to go to Beverly, I guess. So I think it's basically.
Okay. No, I don't mean that.
No.
It's a serious question, because, I tell my wife all the time, you can't put that out early. And she says, she puts it out early, and sure enough, it's like a duel between, I could tell you what color pickup trucks, who's driving them, and they come flying around. I have some neighbors that become friendly with them, and they take the recyclable cans and stuff, and they put them in a separate bag behind the bush, so that guy knows he doesn't have to go through the bin, he can just go behind the bush and get the bag.
That's what we do.
You can still do that.
Okay. For the most part, I just want to say this is very good. I think it's going to be a learning curve for some people. When it comes to the colors, I respect everyone's opinion on whether or not it should be that green color or some other color. But is it going to be, just for clarity, once the city decides it's going to be blue, pink, purple, or whatever color, it's going to be it's not like we're going to have certain neighborhoods that are going to decide we all want purple ones, or we want all blue ones, or green ones.
Trash containers.
Okay.
Will be one.
Be uniform, because that would be confusing to people, I think. Okay.
Recycling containers, we would have to make a decision. Typically, we recommend you pick the body of the container, and that's one color. And then the lids might be a different color, just to identify green, blue, whatever.
Okay.
So we'll work through that whole process with the city. There's certainly options for color selection, but it'll be as uniform as possible.
And that's not for this part. We're going to let Jason et al., whoever was on that list, help make that decision. So all the input goes.
Unless do you want to say anything?
No, I don't want, no. My wife will probably have something to say about what color, but to me, it doesn't matter.
Councilor O'Keefe. Councilor O'Keefe.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Did I understand you were going to pick up the barrels we have now? When you drop off those new totes, what are you going to take off the 4 or 5 barrels I have now? You're going to take any of those plastic barrels? No? Those Rubbermaid?
We're going to have a hybrid approach. We're going to allow for a drop-off day or two.
All right, quickly, next question.
Yes,
Who's
sir.
going to run this program? Jason Silver, Director of Municipal Operations?
No, it's a contract, the manager.
Who do we call?
The manager of the contract is either.
Who's that?
The city engineer?
Yeah.
Or the business manager. Dave
And if he's not in, we'll talk to Julie?
Yes, sir.
What are we going to do with that mess up on Swampscott Road in Ward 3 with all the brown bags that are coming? What are we going to
It's not only, it's
help
not in
this?
front of us. Not in front of us. Let's stick to the.
Well, no, that's
contract.
what I know it's not part of this, but how are we going to address that?
That's a separate issue. Separate issue. Can we stick to this? It's already 8 o'clock. And we got a lot more questions.
We can't talk about.
Council, we've had questions of that for 15 to 20 years. It
But
gets
it's-
worse every
Councilor
year.
O'Keefe, it's not on the agenda. It's not in front of
Everybody's
us.
nodding their heads, yes, it's a mess.
And no one disagrees, but it's not in front of us tonight, so we can't discuss it. Councilor,
Well, I threw you a question then, sir. When can we discuss that in your ward? It's your ward, but
We gotta bring it into committee. It's not in front of us today, so we
is
can't
the
discuss it.
administration gonna have a plan on how to,
Counselor Keith, why don't we discuss this after, because it's not on the agenda today, and
good
these
answer.
gentlemen
Thank
can't really
you. I
answer
will.
that.
Thank you.
Counselor Sargent.
Thank you. The arm that comes out, on the neighborhoods where there's no driveways, the homeowner can put it out between two parked cars, but should he go to work and then those move around and now it's broadside to a parked car, how does the homeowner, the person who put it out properly to begin with, are they gonna have to pay a penalty or not get the trash picked up?
The trucks themselves they have a low entry drive side.
Yeah.
So they're actually a lot easier to get in and out of for the driver than the conventional trash trucks that you might see rolling around the city in the past. And what happens with the containers is the homeowner will come out and place it. And if a driver sees a better area for that container to be placed, he'll get out, he'll move it, he'll dump it, and he'll leave it in that area. And he's not gonna leave it he's not gonna leave it in front of the driveway, but he's gonna leave it where it's most convenient for him to service. And what happens over a few weeks, the homeowner may come out the next week, and he might put it back in the place that they did the last time. The driver's gonna get out, he's gonna move it, he's gonna dump it, he's gonna leave it. Eventually, they get it, and he must want it over here.
Yeah, the people with driveways, I understand.
Yeah.
It's just when you get a whole section of the street with no driveways and the parked cars jockeying around, people may end up putting it between two parked cars and have it ready.
Those are probably neighborhoods and streets where you probably would likely see a semi-automated truck with a driver and a helper and rolling the carts to the back of the truck.
You would rather have it out on the street a little bit off the curb, so it'd be easier for them to get to, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Go, and then
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to be brief. I'm going to ask you three separate questions here. I'll let you handle them one by one. They're pretty easy. The 1-800 number, I'm assuming that's going to be strictly a Salem number. When somebody calls, they're going to know it's from Salem?
That is the call center number.
It won't be a Salem-specific 1-800?
No.
So we'll have to say, you'll ask what community you're calling from.
That's correct.
I want to step back to the exemptions for the smaller containers for a second, because I can think of a few people that are going to be doing that. There's a lot of people in Salem that have these little alcoves in their backyards where they keep their trash so that you can't see it from the street. They care how the neighborhood looks. They have little fences set up. They have slats in there so you can't see through it. And that big 96-gallon container may not fit in that little alcove. If that's something that you're going to consider when you decide who gets an exemption or not?
Sir, one for you.
I'll take that. You can't make, 10,000 exceptions.
I don't think you're going to have that many, but yeah.
I think, like we said before, I think if there's specific issues, typically, when we're looking at smaller containers or some alternative collection, it might be somebody with a disability that actually can't physically handle the container. If you're getting into household aesthetics, that's probably something we're going to have to talk a little bit further about.
That's fair enough, and I have one more for Jason real quick on our $1 a piece extra bags. We only have a couple of locations where they can get those. Can they get them here at City Hall?
They
Yes.
can buy them, where can they buy them, Julie?
Collector's Office, DPW, Crosby's Market, and Weiner Brothers on Lafayette Street.
Have we talked to Steve's Market about whether or not they would accept these bags?
We can talk to other places. I mean, it's just that we haven't seen huge volume so far, so there really hasn't been a need to expand it, but we certainly could.
So we're ready to do that if we need to. Okay, thank you.
Counselor Milo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you not being a member of the committee. The $125,000 in disposal savings, is that annual, and do we realize that immediately? Anybody?
It's an estimated annual.
Annual, okay. So after July 1st, 2018, I think, when that Covanta disposal contract runs out, I'm guessing you folks will probably be disposing at your own site down in Lynn?
It'll likely go to the incinerator that's in Saugus.
Oh, Saugus, excuse me, yeah, okay. And so, and that's yours, right? Waste management?
No.
It is not.
It is not.
Oh, it's not?
No longer. It
No
used to be.
longer.
Oh, okay, all right, then.
You had a long-term arrangement for disposal there.
Okay, all right. And then, my only other question is the 310,000 that we withheld from Northside, is that sitting somewhere to be used against like, that's money that we didn't pay to them, right? Is it?
It's a combination, I don't.
Why is
if you're
Sarah
asking what-
looking like that?
No, if you're asking me exactly what fund it is or where it's at, I don't know off the top of my head. What I do know is that we penalize them for a certain amount. We've withheld 2 months of payments, and we have a $20,000 bid deposit that we have retained. So the combination of those is approximately that amount.
And so that's money that we budgeted that we're not spending? We haven't spent? Like, I'm trying to figure out if like there's 300,000 sitting somewhere that we can use against.
Well, we've incurred additional costs as well to bring them in early, to have a lead. But we have approximately that amount that we've withheld.
Okay.
What's that?
But it's being eaten up by other stuff?
Not all of it, no.
Not all of it? Okay.
I have you all set?
Yeah.
I've got a question. What Councilor Milo just brought up was on the 2018. Right now, we're currently under contract with Covanta Haverhill to bring our disposable garbage there. They take it in at a price per ton. Now, we're in a 5-year contract with them with a 5-year option, but we knew what we're gonna get if we were to do the other 5-year option to that. There was, I think it starts, I'm just guessing, I don't have it in front of me, I think it started around $56 or $60 per ton, and it went up every year. Now, in July 2018, when that contract's null and void, and you guys are now responsible for the disposing of it, and I believe you just mentioned you go to Resco, what type of figure are we talking per ton, and can we have something going forward so we know, so we're not going in blind?
It's a fixed rate price in the contract that increases at 2.5% for the duration of the agreement. So for roughly 7 years,
okay,
the price will be fixed at it starts at $72.
Okay.
In your current Covanta agreement, their first option year is 74.
Okay.
So we've priced it at 72. And it goes up at 2.5% a year through the fruition of the agreement.
Let me ask you, through the fruition of the contract, does that mean the 10 years, or if we take the 5 years on top of that, will you continue at 2.5 per year?
On the 10
If
year.
we take the option for the 5 additional, would that continue to be the 2.5?
It would fall, generally.
Generally follow? Okay, thank you. Councilor Juriel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, not being a member of the committee, I have 3 remaining things to ask about. One is a request in doing this. I know Jessica Herbert, the chair of the Historic Commission's here tonight with all this, and she had, they've discussed this some in their committee, and we're talking about the color option stuff. I'd ask that the working group that's putting this together work with the Historic Commission on trying to identify the best colors to fit in and make that part of the criteria here. Because again, one thing that we do have that's somewhat unique in this city is all the older architecture in the historic districts. And you know, it's going to be a choice for the entire city, but we wanted to try and be as compatible as possible with these buildings, especially since with the size of these toters, a lot of these are going to be sitting alongside buildings where they might have been tucked around back before. So I'd like you guys to, in doing this, try and include the Historic Commission in helping to come to this final decision. Another one, this one is a relevant point that relates to the, it's a very brief one relating to the transfer station and its current contract, because given the situation with Northside at this point in time and the state of their business, I know they are currently operating the transfer station still under a separate contract, but if the company continues to implode, that contract may become a moot point.
Josh, it's not in front of us. You cannot bring that up.
Just want to ask, if we have any plans for, potentially for dealing with that situation should it occur. And the last point here to make is, and I'm sure this is something that's part of the whole process, we have sufficient people in the city who are elderly or disabled, that being able to handle the totes of this size is likely going to be fairly difficult for them. And I'm gonna go out and say that probably that this process that you've dealt with in other cities, and when you do make exemptions, I'm hoping that that's one of the criteria you guys take into account in doing this.
Yeah,
Making
I
those.
mean, the good news is this isn't, we're not reinventing the
No.
wheel, so there's a lot of historical knowledge, not me stepping back with these two. And so they really bring that level of expertise and experience to the table, and exactly will take those type of things in consideration.
Mr. Chairman?
You all set?
Yeah.
Oh, you all done?
Councilor O'Keefe.
He's all done?
He's all set.
To you? Thank you. Where are you gonna take your trucks to be weighed? You're gonna weigh your trucks when you leave Salem, so we know how much you're collecting? Where's that point? Where's that weigh station?
Right now, Lynn is
In
where
Lynn?
your trucks will be, that's where your current disposal site is in Lynn. So they'll be weighed at Lynn, and the recycling trucks will be going to Bill Rickett, to Waste Management's processing facility.
So once they're weighed there, I've been to, Councilor Manos, myself, have been to North Andover to see the stream separation of the conveyor belt and all that. Where's that gonna be once they leave Lynn? Where are you gonna take the rubbish trucks?
Lynn is where it goes.
Oh, it's gonna go, where in Lynn?
That's the Covanta transfer station, that's your disposal contract. So we pick the trash up, we take it to Lynn,
We weigh it there.
So you're taking Lynn and Salem in the same facility?
No.
We've had an existing contract with Covanta, so they are inheriting that contract. So it's going to the same place that it's always been.
Well, Northside took it to North Andover, didn't it?
No, sometimes.
Well, what were we seeing up there? Lawrence's? All right, anyway, so, one final point, and I heard you talk to one of my colleagues about it. If my next door neighbor, who's 70 years old, puts out one white bag a week on the curb, Northside picks it up. Are you gonna pick it up without those totes? You're gonna give her the totes, but she's never gonna use them. She can't wheel them. She can't wheel those things. They're gonna be outside. She has no garage. Are you gonna pick up that white Marshall's bag, for example, those big white bags? You're gonna pick that up? I might have to call you or someone to...
Not in general. In general, we're gonna ask everybody to use the carts.
They're not gonna use them. They don't now. They do not now, sir. They do not use them, and Northside picks them up. Every Wednesday I see it in my ward. They pick them up. And the people that Councilor McCarthy's talking about, they have carts now from Marshalls they push through my neighborhood, picking out all the different things to put. And I can imagine them going through those things. You're gonna have to tip them over to go through them. Anyways, so you will pick up the white bag. I don't get a nod, yes or no from...
No, I think I said no.
You said no.
Yeah, it's the expectation, or at least the program that we have arranged with the city is to use carts. We will consider accommodations for people who are disabled and can't use the carts, but that will be a process that we'll go through. It will not be, I don't like to use them, and so therefore I'm not going to use them.
Well, I know people live in my ward, live on hills, and not gonna be able to pull those...
Actually, we've had these programs.
Oh, all right, okay.
With hills, so we've had some experience with that.
Councilor Keefe, Bill, all set?
Thank you.
Any other councilors have any questions before I open up to the floor? The people in the audience have been waiting. Mr. Wall, Mr. Nocello, Mr. Silver, if you could just step back so we could have some people from the audience address. And thank you for your time, but please don't go yet. Mary, whoever wants to step up first, just step up to the podium and state your name.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, definitely not being part of the committee. I have actually one question and a comment. A lot of my neighbors and people in my house too put out those green compost containers. What do we do with those?
That's separate, completely separate.
No change.
Same thing? Okay. So those just can go out next to those green barrels? Okay. I would like to make a comment about Salem State. Salem State is generating some sensitivity in the community because of recent activities in terms of construction. And I want to lend some support to Councilor Keefe's comment about mattresses and bulky items. that's really gonna be a problem. And I hope you will find some way to address that, because there are hundreds of students in apartments and in the dorms. It's gonna be a problem, so for what it's worth, try to help us save our Salem. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jason,
Abstain?
in your presentation, you had a 10-year contract explanation, and you said so that they would, they can amortize the cost of the carts over 10 years, is that, have I got that right? So the city's paying for the carts, will the city own the carts?
At the end of the 10-year term, they will be the city of Salem.
Okay. So if the property changes hands, I would assume the right thing to do would be to the carts. Thank you.
Any other
So
questions?
Joe, maybe your neighbor could put that little white bag in your bin.
I thought exactly.
Play.
Through you, Chairman Steele.
There we go.
Most of my questions have been answered, but I did have one with regard to, since you're not going to survey households, find out what they think they need, I was just wondering, like, if you have a situation where you have, say, 10-unit condominium, you're just going to deliver 20 containers, which they may not need, because some of the condominiums are one versus families, so I'm just wondering if you deliver, you just figure how many thousands of these things and deliver them, and you find out that they don't really need them, and you take them back, will the city paying for them anyway?
In the agreement, there's a definitive number of containers, and that's based on the estimated number of units that are currently being serviced, which include those multiple family dwellings. And we'll work closely with the city when we're compiling that list and look at those properties. And a lot of times we err on the side of being conservative. So instead of delivering 12 sets of these things, we may only deliver 6. And then that property will work closely with the city to make sure that they're right-sized, that they have what they need. We tend to err on the conservative side of it, but to answer your questions regarding the payment of those, there's a definitive number of containers in the agreement. And there's some flexibility built into that. So the city will have an option to push and pull, if you will, containers here and there. There won't be additional charges for containers until they exceed that amount.
As I said, most of my questions were answered, but I'm just wondering, in the winter, when we have snow banks, the small recycled containers that we have now, we set them on top of the snow banks, but obviously that won't be able to happen with that. So I'm just wondering how we can handle that and then the process that you.
Well, yeah, you know, starting my career in the back of a truck, I never really appreciated people putting their stuff on a snowbank because it's really hard to get. So it actually is better winter operations when you have these carts, primarily because we can see them and the arm can kind of pull them out of the snow. And if you think about it, if you have recycling out and there's plowing operations going on, you know, those get pushed all over the place. The trash and the recycling gets moved all over the place. So that's all we ask is that people, it might be a little extra step, but just a small cutout in the corner of the bank, you know, put it out in front of the bank so the truck can get at it. After snow, you do it once until the next snow, which of course this year was every single Monday for 8 weeks, but hopefully not that much next time. Just clean up that area and we'll be able to get at it.
Because it's best if you have them on the street versus the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And one other question about the color of the containers. The recycling will be a different color than the trash containers, you say, or at least the top will be a different color?
It may be, I mean, that's something we'll work with the city, but it's really important to define the A and B week some way, whether it's a different color lid or, you know.
Well, I didn't know whether it had to do with the size, because obviously the 96 gallon is a little bigger than 64. Okay.
Anybody else like to speak? I guess Councilor Gerard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, not being a member of the committee. Just one more question about the using our old barrels for yard waste. So that means that we don't have to buy those big paper leaf bags anymore if we choose to use those as our...
Correct.
I once had to go to 7 stores to try to find those, so that would be great.
Any more questions? Councilor McCarthy, I think.
Before I make a motion to approve, I'm gonna make the motion to approve. I just have one last question.
Sure.
One last question. What list are we working off of to identify, because to the point that was just brought up, how many these totas, cartas we're gonna drop off? Because I don't like to say this, but there are some people who have, for lack of a better word, not approved apartments maybe in their basement or maybe someplace else that have been putting out barrels. And now all of a sudden, what list are we working off to determine how these totas get dropped off? Because there are some properties that obviously over the course of time have morphed into, it should be a 2-family, but guess what? There's actually 3 apartments because they did something funky along the way. And it's not listed that way, but they have 3 apartments in the unit. And
We're gonna work with the assessor's office.
Okay, so you're gonna work off the assessor's office list?
Yeah.
So if it says it's a 2-family, you're gonna drop off 2 of each, and then they're gonna figure it out amongst themselves?
By the way, in most communities, it's a tax revenue source, because people will call and they'll say, you didn't deliver the extra set of containers, and then you send your...
I didn't even think of it that way. I'm not even trying to think of it that way. I'm thinking of it more of my trash didn't get picked up, or I don't have a trash barrel, but if you want to think of it that way, fine. My biggest concern is come whenever we drop these things off, someone says I didn't get one.
Right.
So, and I guess the flip of that is, because I am very fortunate to live where I do, but it's also, I live near the ocean, and it gets extremely windy, and I've seen those little blue containers go flying down the street, and I only can envision my son pushing this thing, and it goes down the hill into the ocean and may float away. What's the process for if someone loses one, and how to replace it? Not that I can envision losing one of those things, they're pretty big.
Generally, again, the way it works in most cities is you're issued a container to the house.
And then I'm putting my street number right on it.
Put your street number right on it, your house number on it, but you take responsibility, so if you lose it, you have to replace it.
Okay.
And to that end, you'll see the identification numbers
on
the containers. They all have RFID tags, and they all have...
So they're all numbered?
So when we deliver, we'll know exactly what we delivered and where we delivered it.
Excellent. Perfect. So neighbors can't borrow them from other neighbors?
They can,
but they're...
Perfect.
Move the question.
Thank you very much. Move the question. I move to approve.
Move to approve. Do I have a second? Go. Members of the committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? Moves 5-0.
Make a motion to adjourn?
We got
one more. The other one. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilor O'Keefe?
Move for adjournment.
We have one more. Okay.
Oh, all right.
And you want to take a 2-minute recess and let people leave there?
Thank you.
Motion for 2-minute break.
Move for 2-minute break.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break and come back for council number 348.
Hey, let's go.
So, the city's gonna... Am I sitting down? Okay.
Listen, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
I already left.
I just gotta leave. He's can't vote on this. Okay, we're back in session. In front of us is number 348. Please, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just given a document that has some amended language that we need to consider before we consider this matter. And if I may, could I read it into the record, please?
Sure.
City of Salem, the year 2015, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to solid waste management, be it ordained in the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 36, Section 36-6, collection fee for certain residences is hereby amended by deleting the fee of $15 as it appears in paragraph A, and replacing it with the fee of 18, and further amending this paragraph A by deleting the fee $100 and replacing with the fee of $120. Chapter 2, Section 36C, the collection fee for certain commercial establishments is hereby amended by deleting the fee of $22 and replacing with $26.50. This ordinance shall take effect by the city charter. The language that was added is relative to, it's in red on the one they gave me, is in further amending this paragraph by A, deleting the fee of $100 and replacing it with a fee of $120. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna open up the floor on the discussion. Any councilors? Councilor Go?
I would just, no questions at this point. I would just ask the finance director to come up and give us a quick overview of the whys and the wherefores. We do have some property owners out here that obviously are not going to be happy with this.
Sure, yeah. So it equals out to about $3 per month, or 20% versus what the fee was last year. The city has been, I think, pretty smart about when the trash fee has gone down to the benefit of Northside, maybe to the detriment of trash pickup. The ratepayers have seen a reduction as such. In this case, the trash contract is being increased based on, or the trash fee rather, is being based on the increased trash contract. So it equals out to about $3 per month, 20% over this first year of the life of the contract.
I do have a question, and hopefully I'm still on topic here, but if I'm not, just let me know. Because I did have an inquiry, if a property owner, somebody that owns a multifamily decides to not have their trash picked up by the city, they decide to file a contract, can they still participate in the recycling program?
I understand that they can, but I can check with Julie Rose.
If you could do that for me, because I do have there are a couple of people that are interested in changing services because of this, but they still want to be able to put out recycling for the city.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I actually have a question. How much is this going to raise? What is the number, the increase of $3?
$110,000.
Okay. And, okay, so we're gonna raise I just have a problem with this being because
Sure.
with the composting,
Yep.
which we're spending $35,000 this year and $67,000 next year, you know, I thought that's better money. The money should be here. If we get rid of the composting program after next year, will we be able to bring this down? Give this benefit back to the landlords?
If the decision was made to get rid of the composting program, it could be used in that way. It would be a decision of the council whether or not you want to move forward with that program.
Because I know we did talk about charging people that use it since they get a benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the model in which the council wants to go with. If you want to charge for it, there's an offset, obviously, from the $67,000 or so we're paying for FY16. But the decision would have to be made what you wanted to charge, how frequently you'd want the pickup to be done. And it could potentially be used to offset that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Anyone on the council? Councilor McCarthy?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy makes a motion to approve. Second by Councilor Go. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
Passes 3-2. Councilor O'Keefe, can I have a motion?
Move for adjournment.
Second.
Second.